and see what went wrong. And obviously, as the tournament goes on, people do sort of figure out these heroes. That's why you see the snipers and the drows and other sort of long-range heroes that have come out to fight against each other, right? People are figuring these heroes out, and you have to adapt with that. So I'm not saying you should drop it completely, but you do need to sort of adapt to it and move on and get other things. I think another hero that will be big is Brood. We haven't seen her in a while. She gets banned a lot.
Yep. So do you guys think that all the teams have adjusted to the SF already? So if they do choose to pick it, do you have to adjust the bans perhaps? Like something like a Sven needs to get out?
I think just the way that Thunder Awaken played against it, like Thunder Awaken, they're the only team at this TI to not even play Shadow Fiend once. But they go against the Shadow Fiend and they demolish it 2 games in a row. So I think that's the best replay now, where it's like best SF team versus the best team who hasn't even played it but can just demolish it. If you look at how they play, the pace, the speed, the fact that they're fighting top, TPing bot, they're not giving any room to farm this 20-minute BKB, forcing multiple engagements. So Shadow Fiend's like, guys, I want to be over here, but I'm not there. That type of play style, that's what EG needs to adapt to be able to fight into.
It looks like Aster also copied a little bit of that, right? Like in the last series, they played against the SF and to some success.
TA ganked that SF so much. I really love the movement of, like, you bring a support mid to either refill bottle or contest a rune, and then you shove out the wave, and then you smoke to the top lane where the SF is and get that kill. Because the move is so fast, and the wave is pushing into your mid, it's hard to know, like, what are they doing? Oh, are they going to farm a camp? You don't have the vision on them to know. So that's why that kind of fast move with the support is so effective, and I really love that against SF.
Well, we'll see, hopefully, when the first bans and picks come out. But for EG to really play their best, who is, like, kind of on fire? Because I always see when they're, like, dominating, Crit just being the most annoying position for.
It's the beautiful harmony between Crit and Abed. I think when Abed has a good game, be it like on his Embers, his Pucks, these kind of playmaking heroes, at minute 10, he's behind tier 1 towers in the jungle, tier 2s, like just doing so much stuff that it allows your double carry side lanes of Artesia and Nightfall to be able to get
I like the way
items.
you said carry in air quotation.
Yeah, I wish I was on camera, to be fair, but alas, you know, you enjoyed it. And then,
because you don't necessarily need a playmaker in every single game, right? And if you have these two kind of greedier cores on the side lanes, your mid lane definitely needs a lot of help early on, because he will be the one, he will be the driving force in that mid game.
Okay, and then on Beast Coast as well, when they're, you know, running on all cylinders sheet, who's really, you know, kicking off for their team? Who's the playmaker?
Sorry, for Beast Coast, did you say?
Beast Coast, yeah.
I mean, Whisper, I'll just say his name 100 million times. This guy is way too talented.
You can start now.
Okay, baby, Whisper, let's go. Whisper.
And another one, there we go.
He's so good. Whisper, this guy, honestly.
You just said something other than Whisper. I'm a seasoned professional at saying things over and over and over again.
Yeah, that was insanity.
But as you were saying...
No, I think that he's really strong, and what he gives as well is he lets K1 play his comfort heroes. When we saw PL, we'd think, oh, it's not so good of a PL game, but because Whisper is dominating his lane, it gives that space to him to get the net worth needed to reach his hero's timings, because a hero like PL can be run over. We have seen that in other games. Because Hector is just going to pick whatever he wants. He's going to pick it. He's got his Sven carry, his Wraith can carry. He feels something and he goes for it. The way he describes his play is like, it's like a ranked game, man. You just go on instinct. You know, you just start going, go, 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 kill this shit, and then you run at them, and that's like what his comms are like in game.
No, you'd be surprised at how many players still play like that, just by instinct. Even in the drafts, like when they give input, it's like, yeah, I feel that this hero is good, and I feel that it isn't. It's not necessarily that strict. Like, okay, he's bad because of this, and this. It's more like a feeling, kind of a thing that you get after playing 100,000 games.
It's almost like a wise man once said, the beauty about Dota is anything can work.
Exactly.
No, Tel, there you go. You are a wise man. That's definitely not verbatim. Okay, so yeah, looks like we're actually getting some bans in, so they are going to be on the way for game 1. So I will let you guys focus on the heroes and what potentially could happen, and listen very intently.
I mean, ban-wise right now, Thunder Awaken probably going to look to the...
Thunder Awaken, that's my favorite team.
Sorry,
I'm Brood, right?
Oh my gosh, my teeth. Yeah, Beast Coast, sorry. I was looking at stats of Thunder Awaken, but yeah, Beast Coast, because the Broodmother and the Primal Beast are the main prominent bans against evil geniuses. So most likely... Oh, okay. giving it through.
Switching it up a little bit.
Which is fair. I guess the reason there is EG is second pick, so potentially wanting to second pick a Broodmother is like a strategic opening where Beast Coast, okay, if you do that, we still have pick 8, the final pick of the first phase, to respond to it. It's not as disastrous as EG being first pick and getting to close out the first phase of the Broodmother.
And is this Slash, is this Silencer now being banned out by EG? Because these are the ones I see being banned out against Beast Coast most of the time.
There's a lot of heroes. The ones you mentioned, I'm always scared of Marcy.
Marcy as well, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what they want to give away. They have to obviously think if you are letting something like a Brood through, you need heroes that deal with it. The old counters don't feel like they're as effective anymore because Brood's kit has changed so drastically over the patches with all these different reworks.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
That must be... So because Beast Coast have the last pick of the phase, I think they are thinking that EG want to take Broodmother and they want to get rid of a counter that they feel is the most problematic that could be picked. And Hector has been playing Nagasar in this tournament, so it is definitely out there as a threat.
Yeah, 100%. And EG, when they have picked the Brood before, their bans instantly after have been the Naga, Tide, and Ember. So of the 3, they picked the most prominent one. So EG really kind of warning Beast Coast, we're probably going to go Brood.
Yeah, and this Crystal Maiden pick, I think, is really good as an opener because we've seen Crystal Maiden and Jakiro primarily as the pos 5s that help to deal with the Broodmother on the lane. Because one of the reasons that Broodmother is so strong right now is because of the heal that she gets from Insatiable Hunger. She is able to trade in the lane and then use the heal afterwards to get back up to full health, as well as take trades with it, secure last hits, and all of this relies on her being able to hit. So if you have supports in the lane with spells like Crystal Nova and Jewel Breath that reduce attack speed, then that is really good against Brood lane.
And are there any like carries that can match up against the Broodmother right now? Usually you'd want to have, like back in the day, it was the trolls, right? It was anything that makes her miss, anything that makes her unable to get her HP back. Are there some new ones in the meta right now, T?
I mean, it's pretty much the, I'd say it's the offlane department. You can go for like these axes. You can even throw in like the mid Pangoliers and stuff. They picked a Mars because you can eventually put in there. Like Broodmother is like a 2-pronged assault where you want to have a really strong lane against her that you can kill her before she hits 6 and gets the spiderlings, and then you want to transition that hero out the lane, and then you want to put a new hero in there that has the levels from elsewhere that can then
defend the tower.
Exactly,
right?
defend the tower and the spiderlings. And the cool thing as well with the Brood Hoodwink, for example, is once Brood inevitably wins the lane, having your position 4 that can also just be super active on the map. So previous combos for crit have been a Shadow Shaman. Now he goes for a Hoodwink. These heroes, if they play within territory that's easily controlled by a Brood, they get to play such a free game because they get to run between the bot lane to the mid and bot and just kill anything under the protection
also,
of the Brood.
there's an additional thing that you get from Hoodwink, because you don't actually have to play on the Brood side, right? Like, as a Hoodwink, you can play on your own, you can defend the tower forever. Meanwhile, Brood is assaulting your side, while a single Hoodwink is defending the tier 1 on top.
I really loved watching Brood this tournament as well because she is so versatile in what she can do. I've seen Broods that haven't even taken the tower yet using their webs to connect to mid and play around there. So if the supports are playing around mid, it's easy for Brood to connect too. I think the most important thing for Beast Coast right now is to make sure they win this lane against her and kind of shut her down. So Brood, one of the reasons that everyone is picking her right now is because you are able to get a really early Wraith Pack and play around damage reduction. And then you can buy this pipe afterwards, which nullifies most damage from the enemy, and you get this Wraith Pack timing around 13 to 14 minutes, and it's really hard to deal with. And another thing to look at is in the group stage of TI, if Brood got her Wraith Pack pre-16 minutes, the score of her win to loss was 12-1. If she got it after 16 minutes, it suddenly became much more even, around 7-9. So making sure Brood doesn't get this early Wraith Pack timing is huge, insane.
It's very telling, because if the Brood does get that level 6 fast enough, she's usually rolling over the lane and you cannot stop her that easily, right? Which is why you get that Wraith Pack a little bit earlier. Also, it reminds me of Enigma, the way you play the Enigma, but you don't have to rely on that black hole. You aren't just the Wraith Pact and the Eidolons. You bring much more to the table.
I'm just trying to get over the fact that she said she enjoyed watching Brood.
I mean,
that's like saying you enjoy Tinker.
cool.
To me, I enjoy watching Tinker games, so...
I think the way the hero has evolved over the years is just really interesting to me, because she used to just be, I'm going to dominate the lane and buy carry items.
Yeah.
And she sort of reminds me a little bit of Nature's Prophet of like Arlington Major patch, where everyone was picking him because he was so versatile. He could push, he could connect to fights, he could carry and scale, and Brood is sort of similar to that. Late game you can go for more carry items, or you can go more utility with this Hex.
And there's something that I've noticed from this TI, from how the game's evolved. Breaking smokes seems to be that's why we saw a lot of nicks. Brood still has a little bit of that in her, right? Like as a hero, or not so much, would you say? I'm okay being wrong, Sheep.
No,
you can tell me I'm out of it.
You're right, Adam. Like, I wouldn't say wrong. It's like she uses her spiders as the main primary source of vision because they changed the way the control group works, so now you can send out spiders everywhere across the map. So it's more about knowing where people are or where people aren't, so you know if there's smoke.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always giving vision, and
I love being wrong and right.
You're beautiful, James, no matter what.
At the same time, like, she brings even more than just the smokes because of the way the shard and axe have been reworked.
Oh, the axe as well.
So with that axe, it's not only about you can even catch in with heroes. So it's not only about breaking smoke. You can set up traps. It's basically a more annoying techies at this point.
Yeah, and to give reference, the axe, it's this like invisible snare that you place inside your web so you don't see it, and then you walk into it, and then you suddenly just get rooted, and then other people get rooted, and then you can just spam so many. And if you get into an aggressive position and you're putting them on the high ground entries, you're mentioning smokes. Even if you do get a successful smoke out onto the map, you then walk into a high ground area, but you're instantly rooted, and then it tells EG, guys, they're there. It's so much aggressive vision through indirect spells, basically.
And the Sven being picked up here. T, you've been a coach for teams. What position would you rather be in here? Would you rather be, you feel like EG of kind of, leading the way on the draft, or, Beast Coast have got plenty of answers?
I think right now, EG is just making a statement with their draft because they are picking heroes that are forcing Beast Coast to react. So when you're entering a lower bracket game, not having full control of the heroes that you want to pick always can be a bit more annoying. And in this situation here as well, it's like EG picks up the Sven, so now you can't give K1 his Sven against a Broodmother, who could be an aggressive laner with CM. You just take it away. Beast goes, okay, now we're going to think of another hero to pick. So yeah, EG just being really forward-thinking with this draft, so I think I'd probably lean EG right now.
Meanwhile, Beast Coast, they snap up.
No
pun intended. They take that snap.
This guy.
Yeah.
When I made fun, everyone just shit on me and called me a wannabe Lacoste. When he does it, ugh.
The delivery, the smooth, silky tone.
Yeah.
That's true. It was beautiful, though.
All right, so
Oh God, he got silky.
He's got more.
it's
Talk to me,
versatile.
Lizard.
It's versatile for them, but most likely it will be the support here, right? Or maybe it can even be played on mid because they have done that in the past.
The Sapphire is very versatile in this region. It was more Thunder Awakened last sort of DPC tour in Arlington, where they were playing it on multiple roles. Off lane is usually like where I've seen it, but it strikes me more as a support here because you want to pair it with that Mars.
I think one of the concerns right now for Beast Coast is we've mentioned the itemization of Broodmother, the Wraith Pact, the Pipe. Most of Beast Coast's early game damage is going to be this magical damage. Sure, you have the Lil Shredder and Snapfire to instantly kill through the hit count on the Wraith Pact, but if that interaction doesn't happen, if you don't see that Lil Shredder come through, then you're not going to kill the Wraith Pact because it's super hard for these melee heroes to get in. CM, you can't rely on her. And then the Pipe. So I'm a bit worried, Beast Coast, if they don't come out ahead in the lanes, they're just going to be on the back foot a little bit.
And everything that you were talking about stands as long as you can interrupt the long-range damage that Mortimer's Kisses bring, right? But now you get the Ember on the side of EG, so you can deal with that as well, not only with the Sapphire, but also with the Crystal Maiden.
This is what I love about EG's draft, though, is how they're covering their bases. We have the Wraith Pact and the Pipe for damage reduction. Sven, his Warcry, it gives armor to the team.
Yep.
EG have ran this strat before. Fly plays it typically on the Pos 5 Sven, and you build around this one core who becomes incredibly tanky and just kind of can't die, and that's what I like about this Brood and this Sven. What are you meant to draft towards in terms of damage?
Yeah, I think we've been praising EG and how they've set up this draft to be super aggressive. The flip side will be if Beast Coast does survive through this very mid-game centric kind of annoying lineup, their heroes with BKBs, items, and just scaling in, they will always have the team fight. They will always have the we can just hold this position and fight you if they can get around this Broodmother Ags and stuff. But it's still very much leaning more towards EG of the team that should be able to set the pace of the game. Unless their lanes go disastrously, then sure, Beast Coast, they have a plethora of damage, but
Oh, I just want to say, actually, we talked about the snap flexing a bit. I'm just realizing it's Beast Coast, and I know that Schofield hates ranged fours. He has played the snap, and he can play it, but he heavily prefers pause.
Some Chris Luck snap or...
Well, I'm thinking it might be a mid-Mars and an off-lane Snapfire with the Tiny. That would make the most sense to me in terms of their players and how they play. It's
5 seconds.
It's what makes sense to me for Beast Coast.
That sounds way more fun for sure. Like I'm checking here, they have played it already at TI. They played the offlane snap, they played mid snap. There's a lot of flexibility with the hero, and they need something that provides more aggression, because like if you put Mars mid, you're going to secure his levels. So we mentioned how the Broodmother needs to have that anti-wave clearing hero to go against her. That's going to be the Mars now. If you put it in mid, it's easy to transition that Mars from the mid lane to bot. It's not as far as the off lane to safe lane. So I honestly like that adaptation.
The only problem that I would see with that is that you're kind of tying up your mid laner, the one that's supposed to do the most in the mid game.
To one lane,
tying him up to one lane that's just defending against the Brood. For me, the best way to do it is some 4 or 5 that can just spam out the spiders, make it annoying for the Broodmother. But then again, the new Brood is kind of difficult to stop that way.
And EG does have the final pick in the entire draft, so Beast Coast, they're going to be entering this final phase, kind of picking a little bit of blind here.
Yeah, there's still the Troll available if they want to play the lane that way against the Brood. Hector does play a lot of different heroes. Who else is still in? Do we have like Faceless Void?
Is there not like a Pudge scenario here?
Yeah, that could work with the Vanguard rush.
Yeah, exactly. Just go for some Vanguard, get an Ags, you park yourself there, you're aggressive in lane, CM Pudge, you have the root, you can then hook. So before Spiderlings come into play, there's some kill potential in this Brood.
I like that a lot.
And they don't necessarily have anything great against the Pudge at the moment. They would have to answer that with the carry. I actually do like the Pudge idea quite a bit.
It's kind of like a hero that you can kind of dangle in the middle of the fight, and all these like spell casting heroes, they're not going to be too aggressive. And for EG as well.
He can also be way more active earlier on, and he can be an additional hero that can park in front of the Brood once that Vanguard is up.
A tanky enough hero to allow like time for the rotations to come in as well. That's another thing. Is if you pick a weaker carry who dies so quickly to a Broodmother when she hits 6 and that pressure.
Would you be worried for their burst amount of damage, or is Tiny Snapfire good enough?
Yeah, I think that's good enough. I think Beast Coast, they're playing a game where they want to try and be really aggressive in lane, and then sure they will fall victim to not being able to play as quickly as a Brood and Ember, but they'll eventually just get into the game nicely.
No, they go with the Slark. This is it, right? Like as Sheep mentioned, if he wants to play that Slark, he's going to get his Slark, he's going to play his Slark. And this hero has been picked quite a bit recently. Like in the Chinese region, they switched up the whole kit on the hero. Like first item Radiance, that's been the flavor for at least a couple of months. Not going to happen here, most likely.
Hopefully not. But we mentioned how EG doesn't really have team fights. They're relying on kind of annoying heroes to just win in these mid-game engagements. Slark's the hero that if you survive that style of play, you can dominate. And EG...
I feel like TB was the answer almost no matter what.
They've done this so many times before. They've done the Brood, they've done the Terrorblade. Yeah. Their play style is get into the enemy side of the map. Terrorblade skips waves, Brood skips waves. You have no map to get out on. It's a classic thing EG's done a lot of times before. It's a good carry-to-carry matchup.
So who do you fancy just based off the draft, I guess the question is?
Beast Coast is so good at spellcasting, and their entire lineup is just spellcasting, running around team fighting. So I think it definitely plays to their strengths as a team, but this late game is a little dicey.
I'm worried there's not enough map for Beast Coast to play, where they rely surviving for long enough to get items, and a Terrorblade and Brood, they can really choke you out of a game just through shoving waves into you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on a whim here and go with Beast Coast. I have some faith in the lower bracket SA Slark.
You don't believe in the boldness?
Well, there was one guy that won going bold yesterday as well. So
See?
Are we overdoing it?
No, I'm just quite excited. I know we get to hear a little pre-game interview from Bulba in a moment, so I'm just waiting for that to come through. But
well, it is mid-tiny. That is one thing we got wrong.
Oh no, he's still got the headset on. I was like, if he's walking over, he might now be able to hear us. Say hi to Bulba.
Yeah.
Hi Bulba, enjoy your interview. But again, he's got the headset on, so we'll wait a minute.
When he's ready, I'll know, and then we'll send it over. But it's definitely for a game one. It really seems like EG you think controlled the draft. They're going in slightly more comfortable, but it's like, as you say, Hector just gets to choose, like, hey, I want Slark, and it's going to work.
Pretty much. From the get-go, they're controlling the draft, but Beast Coast also are in their full comfort zone.
Okay. They do struggle to take objectives a bit.
We'll see how comfortable EG are, because Slacks has got an interview with Coach Boba.
Thank you so much over there on the panel. I am here with Boba, ladies and gentlemen.
Feels good.
There we go. The people love you, sir.
It feels good.
Very confident draft. First pick Broodmother, and then countered by BEASTCOAST by a lot of AoE. Do you think that you guys are going to be okay? Are you happy with the trap that you have spun?
I mean, hopefully we're happy. I think we're happy. Yeah. So yeah, we didn't expect them to give us Brood. So, but I think we haven't lost with the hero yet. So yeah, let's see if they have their ideas good enough.
All right, fantastic, sir. Well, I think the crowd has a lot of confidence in you guys, so thank you very much, and we wish you the best of luck there in Game 1, and we will get right to that now with Owen and Fogged.
Thank you very much, Slacks. Yes, very much looking forward to this one. Evil Geniuses versus BEASTCOAST here in the lower bracket. We heard it there, Fogged. You know, Boba very happy that they're able to get the Broodmother and be able to build a draft around that. Would you also agree there's reason to be confident in getting that through in the way they've closed it up at 3G? Or do you feel that BEASTCOAST will have the means to deal with the Spider?
It does look like they have a lot of answers because they've seen it so many times. We've seen them play it, I think, 5 times. They did drop one game, I believe, versus Liquid when they had the Brood, but they do have so many answers. It seems like every single one of their heroes is to respond to that and also to respond versus the Wraith Pack build that we've seen pretty much every game. They have the Snapfire. Of course, you have that little Shredder to kill it off, so it does look like they answered it pretty nicely, but let's see what's going to happen with that last pick Terrorblade.
Well, let's get ourselves into the action. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 of Evil Geniuses versus BEASTCOAST. And in terms of the way that they ended the draft, Fog closing up with the Terrorblade, what does that sort of say about EG's strategy overall in terms of the timings and strengths they're going to look to play towards against BEASTCOAST?
Just doesn't seem like he's going to be able to get enough distractions on the game because he has this Brood, he has this Hoodwink, he has this Ember that's going to be causing problems across on the other side of the map. So maybe it feels like he can get all the space in the world as this Terrorblade to be able to get this scaling. But looking at the draft, of course, from BEASTCOAST, they have a lot of answers, of course, too, for TV. Mars has traditionally been seen as one of those heroes, even though it's gotten nerfed a lot of times, has done well versus TB, and they have a plethora of burst damage and nuke that we saw work pretty well versus these pretty squishy agi cores a lot of the time.
On the side of BEASTCOAST, obviously finishing with that Slark pick here for Hector. If we get anything here as both teams.
Look how much information they're giving. Just because that Slark standing on the high ground, that night vision, can see so much. They can actually sneak into this enemy jungle nicely.
And indeed, was able to pick up the ward there, Gojira. See the stun here around the mid. K1 not going to want to stand around too much.
I don't think I've ever seen that happen, actually. At least not in a TI.
No.
Get their mid ward just walked up and snatched because of that night vision.
Yeah, well.
So, all right, that's going to be pretty cool to set up.
They'll be happy with that one, BEASTCOAST.
And look at this approach. The start of the lane right away, they're going to actually put the pressure onto the TB. I think they look at this lane and they're like, this is a lane the TB can definitely get punished. This Mars, this Snapfire, they could definitely shut this down since there's just a Sven behind him. All right, let's see how it plays out. Yeah, I can't believe that happened.
See if it has any sort of implications on the way they're able to set up this early vision and indeed the lack of it that EG might have these first few minutes around certain areas.
This is that melee versus melee matchup, so sometimes, it can be like a range versus range where you want that high ground ward to be able to play with them to pull creep aggro and stuff like that. So it's not I mean, of course it sucks to lose your ward, but could be worse if it was him like on a range or something like that in a disadvantageous matchup.
So the way that this lane starts down bottom, I mean, so which core is going to be happier at the beginning out of K1 and Nightfall down here?
It's pretty tough to bully out Brood nowadays. With the new way that the web works, you don't really get slow ever. You have so much health regen. When you get that second point in web, even if you drop low on HP, you're pretty speedy, and you'll be able to get that, of course, that HP regen that builds. And so I don't think Nightfall should be too worried. He also has crit always behind him, so I would say if anyone has to worry, it's Stinger more than anything in this lane.
For sure, yeah, has to be careful how far he steps up, especially once the level 2s are there. Crit could look for a quick setup and have that damage.
Just a lot of harassment that comes out with the Blightstone and then the spam that's going to be coming out from the Silken Bola. We'll see which choice actually Nightfall does go for, because also you can actually go for either. Any of these builds could go for like just like 1-2-1 or something like that, so we can trade with Hector. Or K1, we should say, of course.
Of course, on this top lane then for Arteezy trying to lane against the Snap Mars duo that Beast Coast are putting against him. I mean, is he going to be fine up here, or is there potential for kills to be found by Beast Coast?
I mean, from what we've seen, these Svens are able to secure lanes pretty nicely, but it looks like...
Yeah, good setup here. They will indeed. First blood for Beast Coast. Nice little combo there. Of course, between these two heroes, Snap and Mars, they'll be able to pull off much more of that to come here in the laning stage.
And they can do that to Arteezy pretty much any time too, so he always has to be careful. It's a death that's kind of needed in a way. Like it's going to happen there for the Sven, and it's better that he dies than the TB dies to this big burst damage that comes out from these two. But they're going to keep going for that. They're going to always go for these double nuke plays onto either TB or Sven if they're out of position.
Of course, whilst the meta's unavailable, very hard for EG to get aggressive in return.
But so far, he's farming very well, right? 13 and 3, even though he did lose his Sven.
Not being slowed down so far.
None of the cores, really. Mid lane also, CC Smile versus Abed. Pretty much dead even. And bottom, Hector, a little bit behind, but it's a tough lane in a way versus the
I feel sort of across the map. He's the one that's going to have a bit of a trickier time when it comes to getting up to the CS.
Honestly, it feels like both of the carries might start to be in some troublesome positions, right? Like Arteezy does feel like once these nukes start leveling up even more, will be problematic for him, but they do actually get a stacked pull-off. That's pretty rare. So they're going to lose a whole wave on Beast Coast.
Structures are fortified.
See what Gojira can try and do about this. See if there's a chance to maybe look for a kill between the two of them here, Whisper and Gojira. Going to set up onto Fly, but quick with the Mango in the stun, make sure the Whisper doesn't get the chance to line up any follow-up.
That hurts, though. They lost literally the entire wave there to that double pull, and Arteezy's able to free farm under the tower, so really good play from Fly. As bottom, yeah, just constantly seeing them spamming these spells back onto each other. All the trees being cut on the side there, you see K1 constantly Quelling Blading. Always going to be watching for those Quelling Blade plays, of course, also versus the Hoodwink to cut down that Acorn shot.
On the top. Once the meta's up, it's definitely a bit trickier for Beast Coast to try and make that play between these two.
They still do have a lot of burst, right? If they can get the chain stun, even Arteezy could go down.
Absolutely, yeah. If they can land sort of the lineup to get that good angle with the spear, it'll be almost certainly death for one of EG's members on that top lane.
And they are hanging on to a lot of stick charges up here too. 5 on Gojira and also 9 on Whisper. But lingering pretty low on HP.
I'm not opposed to taking the occasional bounty.
Down bottom, K1 able to rely on Stinger to continue to bring in the regen whilst he's working his way towards that second set of tangos here. Picked up. They then get the angle. Looking to follow up. It's another kill. Beast Coast combo here proving to be very strong, and as best as EG are trying to avoid getting caught in these situations, flying Arteezy, Beast Coast still able to find these opportunities.
Yeah. It's pretty unavoidable. Like, they have the CM aura, so they're always able to spam their spells up here too, and they might even go for Arteezy. Top.
He's on his own now. Underneath the tower. See if they can do this here, but Fly back in action and TP at the ready. He'll manage to turn up and make sure that the dive cannot continue, but really feel it already. Beast Coast finding these great chances to just get under that tower and aggressive. Fly, Cookie as well, under to Whisper to close the gap, but the stick charges will keep Fly fine. Beast Coast will have to reset a little bit. They're starting to fall low on the two of them.
But the rotation's coming in. Look how low these heroes on our EG are.
I mean, yeah, Fly and Arteezy have to be careful. Here we go, Chris. He's looking for Fly.
He saw him.
Be able to catch him with the avalanche. He can. Fly's not going to be able to run away from this one. He'll pop the war cry, but a final blast from Gojira gets another. I mean,
in the rune,
he's going to be able to. Oh, with the remnant. Oh, he's in and he's out. Abed will manage to still pick that up before Chris swings back towards the mid.
That would have been some pretty fortunate scenarios coming in. Of course, Rune spawning top right when he's rotating. Does get the catapult last hit on Chris Luck. Good start for him, level 6 early on. Quick, easy rotation. Doesn't find the Terror Blade, but again, finding the early kills. 3-0 ready for Beast Coast. And the bottom lane, they actually haven't died. They've weathered everything. And as you mentioned, your Slark, sure, he's a bit behind the counterpart. 400 behind the TB, 800 actually behind the Brood, but they haven't died down here. No.
And this was going to be the toughest part of the map for Beast Coast in this laning stage, no doubt about it. So they're dealing very well with the pressure and the setup that EG set up against them. And now with this movement from Gojira, they might find a chance to make a kill onto Nightfall. And with the pounds, the blast to follow up into the cookie, and indeed the spider's gone. Beast Coast, they are doing an excellent read of where they can make these plays in this laning stage here. They're not letting a kill miss them at all here. 4-0 now.
It's similar to the way that we saw Thunder, the approach that they took versus EG, just this constant aggression. Really nice moves coming after them, and now K1 soon to be getting level 6, so should be able to withstand down bottom on his own. Yeah, really smart moves. And we see a pretty clever ward, of course, too, from Gojira. Actually places it in the river down bottom after he makes the rotation, so gonna spot any rotations that Crit makes as well. Maybe guarantees that 8-minute power rune for Chris Luck if they do linger in the area.
Definitely want to keep control of that power rune for sure.
They're actually going for the play here on mid.
Get the toss back. Cookie as well to follow things up.
It might be, ooh, so close. Almost gets the frostbite onto Abed.
Same time up top. CEG now make a move on towards Mars. Look to threaten Whisper. He'll be able to spear back RTZ, but flying Crit able to finish him off as EG finally get themselves a kill on the board.
Yeah, lane's starting to break pretty early on here. And Rune will spawn, and yep, Gojira, since he's staying in that area, will secure it with the 3 heroes. That's K1 in a 1v1 versus the Brood. Much better for him.
He's happy now. Yeah, he's hit the 6. So when it's Nightfall alone down here, K1, very little to be concerned about.
Yep.
Should be able to start closing that gap in the farm.
And we do see Nightfall, most of the games he's gone for that Wraith Pact, but I think he's starting to realize, you know, they have the Snap who's gone for the early points in the Little Shredder too. He can actually go Wraith Pact first item, so gonna go for the pipe. Also the item that, you know, all these Broods do go as like the first, second item. A lot of magic damage, so.
Absolutely, yeah, he needs it to be able to protect his army this game.
Exactly, and to protect the TB if he does show up early. There's so much magic burst on Beast Coast, so we like that. Seeing Abed kind of cutting mid lane as well, and they are looking to make perhaps some changes too. So trying to divert all that attention off of the top lane.
Want to go for Nightfall. Nightfall is playing very cautious under the tower. Same time around the mid, they'll look to dive in for Chris. Chris able to get the free-man avalanche off. Time's being bought for the backup TPs to come in. The Stinger turns up. And EG, they won't be able to continue the aggression onto Chris. He'll be fine.
He's very tanky.
And still had, you know, it's pretty much a full stick there. 10 charges and a fairy fire, so really a kill that EG was going to be able to get, even with the 3 of them turning up.
A scary place to overcommit to. I think they knew that the Mars wasn't going to be able to come in, but the 2 supports could be around there just to back him up right away. And now K1, yeah, you know, level 6 is online. Treads are done. He's just going to get to the jungle a little bit here. Another move for mid. Not going to be able to get Gojira, though. Although, 4-1, EG still leading in the net worth.
Yeah, farm's still good.
3 cores still looking very good with their presence. And Nightfall, now the pressure is going to start on the bottom lane. So let's see what Beast Coast does to react versus this Spider. As we mentioned earlier, their draft does have a ton of ways to clear them out.
They'll try for the catch onto K1. Will scare him enough to pop the Shadow Dance immediately in return to the Bushwhack coming in from Crit. Top lane, Arena was dropped here. Looks like they made an attempt, but weren't quite able to pull it off this time. RTZ remains safe. We'll be able to continue to farm underneath the tier 1 top, underneath the tier 1 bottom. And trying to dive in past the tower. They know that K1's got no ultimate. He's already used the Shadow Dance. Further TP's coming in, try and pounce away, but Crit able to time it perfectly with the Bushwhack, pulls him back. They take down K1. Lose flying return. We'll see if the rest of EG can get out. In fact, they might not want to get out because backups arrived. Abed, he's also ready to dive underneath the tier 1 tower, but indeed he's hit the 6. They turn with a stun. Gojira, he's just able to turn with the kisses. Takedown. Abed takes down Crit. It started off as a smooth move from EG to try and pressure in, take down K1 whilst he didn't have the Shadow Dance. But then they tried to go for more, and that was not the move that they were going to get away with against Beast Coast there. A perfect time to hit the 6. Beast Coast turn it around, and Abed, he's going to wish he didn't come down here at all.
Oh, yeah. A beautiful latch from Crit here to start it all off, getting him in mid-pounce. But, yeah, I don't think they expected so many rotations coming. I don't know if they expected the Snap to be that 6 either. And, yeah, Whisper had just used ult top, so maybe they thought he wouldn't come here either. Beautiful moves. This Snapfire really kicking it this early game. 3-0-3, 6 of the 7 kills.
Yeah, I mean, just excellent setup there as well from Gojira, using the cookie for Whisper, getting him on top of Abed, and then with that opening stun, easily able to find time to get the follow-up spear. And it just locked down Abed for the whole ult that was coming in.
And the crazy thing is, too, look at the tower HP in that bottom safe lane. After we see the Ember perhaps getting gone on a little bit.
We'll see if they can get it. They might. They
might be able to.
Again, the 3 stuns are there. Abed a couple of times now, back-to-back in this area of the map. It's not been a great place for him to be.
No, and then we do see the tower. It is 100% HP. It has not been touched. This is a Brood lane. Near 12 minutes. That dive not working out at all.
See around the mid. Chris ready to set up more. Gets the toss back. onto Fly, and of course backup, it's there, it always is here from Beast Coast. The three of them take down another. Fly falls. We'll see Arteezy turning up to the mid. This is quite an aggressive fight for the Terrapins to be involved in. I don't know if Arteezy wants to be in. The arena's there. What's going on, Fog? From Abed, dying 2 times down on the bottom. Arteezy suddenly turns up to a very premature fight in the mid. 12 minutes in, he's stepping up to the mid high ground. You can't do that against Beast Coast.
He just had popped his meta too. Wanted to try to come in just for a quick kill onto a core, but Beast Coast, they're too fast around the map. EG's got to give more respect to these movements.
Absolutely.
This is devastating. Look at Nightfall even too, maybe.
We've just seen it happen to Abed. We've just seen it happen to Arteezy, and we've just seen it happen to Nightfall. EG losing cores left, right, center here.
It's 12-2. I mean, this is looking just like Thunder, really, the way that the aggression is coming out so early.
Even rougher, I think, in this early game.
Absolutely. K1 even looking to top.
Won't be able to do too much on his own.
Just steal some Agi. But he's got the Diffusal Blade finished up, so that's also another scare. The fact that Beast Coast can even start involving the Slark in every single one of these fights. Arteezy can't come back to show up for quite some time.
We'll get a quick pick on to Stinger here. Over on Beast Coast side of the map. Definitely feels like, you know, still at the start, you know, EG, whilst they were sort of losing in terms of kills, they were getting the farm. They've got to be careful not to sacrifice the space that they've been able to maintain on their half of the map, but for going for these aggressive plays and losing these huge kills.
That's devastating. They're trying to look for K1, perhaps. Secret trying to, but no, he gets in the tree lines.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
This is looking like a very good start here for Beast Coast, of course. Almost a blink even on the Mars. So the distancing for TB, like usually the way he wants to play in backlines and hiding in the jungle, pretty much farming for most of the game, it's going to be a lot harder now with Whisper having this type of start. Blink at 13 minutes in your offlaner.
Quick setup in the mid. Chris.
Boy.
Abed will be fine. He's got remnants to play with, but taking a heavy bit of damage.
Only, I think, misses one of those lobs. A super farm Snapfire.
Power rune in 9 seconds. Beast Coast, they'll want to make sure that Abed doesn't get a hold of that.
They have the blink on Chris as well, too.
And the rune, and it is going bottom. Abed able to grab it inside.
Chris is out of mana. They're trying to chase.
Kind of hard to chase though between these two. Yeah, further TPs are coming in. He'll latch on with the searing chains, but Abed knows that he's got to be careful. Whisper turns up.
Abed might still be in trouble.
I mean, he is indeed. The remnants, it was laid down in a bit of an awkward spot, and of course, no struggle at all there for Chris to make sure he's there, ready and waiting. That's Abed dead again.
And I mean, they did not have the damage at all to try to go for the touch. They had the Sven and the Ember, no Flame Guard. That was.
And the kills, they're just going to keep rolling in, by the way. Beast Coast, they find Fly out alone. It's 15-3 here, 14 minutes in. Beast Coast, there's just no slowing them down here.
They're oppressive on every single one of the lanes. Anytime somebody shows on EG, they get cleared out. Oh, look, some spiders as well, too. Whisper says thank you. Level 11 already on this Mars. Anytime anyone shows, it feels like they can die now because of these double blinks that are set up, and from these over-leveled supports, they're always going to be able to get the catch on EG.
That's some terrifying stuff here from Beast Coast so far.
How does EG really get things together now, right? Like, who do they really want to rally behind? It feels like it's going to have to be like when the pipe comes out for Nightfall, which he does have now, so let's see what they can do with it.
They're going to try and get something going here off the back of a smoke.
Feels difficult still.
For Chris here around the mid. TPs are going to come in. See if they can take down the Tiny. Steer on the side, able to lay down the ult. EG there attempting to reach it to take down Chris, but Chris, he's out and he's alive. He's going to be fine. K1
Arteezy
coming into the front of the fight. He's in with the pounce on top of Arteezy. Avalanche as well onto the forward. Arteezy will be able to get the sun drop onto Fly. Arteezy back up to full HP. Abed out of the fight. The arena's down. Spear will miss. So they won't be able to hold Arteezy in position. Arteezy's going to be fine for now. Now turns towards K1. Pounce back at the ready. Chris, he's in with the jump though. They've got the combo. The forward kisses Arteezy melting to the deck of the Snapfire. Gajira takes him down. So Abed, is there more for him to find? He's going to try and keep the fight going, Abed. Jumps over towards Chris. Chains and the further remnants, but the Avalanche is back up. Chris will still die. They get a kill and return, EG. Anything more for them to find? I mean, K1, Stinger, and Gajira, they're ready to continue this fight as well here. 4 versus 4. They want to keep the action going. They get the bushwhack set up onto Stinger, stun, into the angle of Crit Salt. EG find another.
Ooh. I mean, they're pretty durable. You're definitely seeing that pipe coming into play. This 30 HP regen Broodmother just never getting low.
Two-man cookie. Into the blast, but no further ability to send them back under the tower quite yet. So EG, they may lose Arteezy in the fight, but they do take down 2.
Yeah. It started, I mean, it looked almost kind of disastrous at the start, but I think the sleight of fist actually canceled Whisper's blink dagger, and then he had like a little bit of an awkward jump with his ult and spear. That's why it ended up missing. But he's still going to keep going through these plays too.
Yeah, EG, they're trying to play with the momentum that they were able to get going a little bit around that mid fight. Do end up losing crit bottom.
It does feel like EG is actually more cooldown reliant. Even though they're playing into a team that has like Mars ult and the CM ult, it does feel like EG has to be pretty careful if they want to, because it feels like they have to invite Arteezy when they go for these type of pushes, and he needs to have meta available. So yeah, it does feel like they have to play pretty slow on the side of EG versus BEASTCOAST, which is scary, because BEASTCOAST is not going to play slow at all. They're going to just constantly look to hunt. It's going to continue to accelerate too, because K1, he's got a couple components finished already of that Aghanim. 3 pieces done. That's going to make it even easier for him to just stick onto that back line, get onto Arteezy.
Absolutely, and to be able to kite him out if things get dangerous when the meta's up.
Okay, Whisper opts to go for his shard early on since he's playing versus that TB. Tends to be one of the most valuable options when you're playing versus illusion cores. And he's very farmed, so doesn't hurt him too much to go for that this game.
See BEASTCOAST ready to set up around the mid. Let's see if they can get the combo off onto our bed. We're going to try with a slight error. Immediate reaction. They still find the avalanche toss combo, but that quick little dodge at the beginning, meaning that their full lockdown couldn't quite be there from BEASTCOAST. Arbed will be fine. I mean, Kajira's going to go with the kiss. Whisper tries the arena, but won't manage to get the catch. This time, EG able to dodge the combo. Still to the side, though. Fly will be finished off. EG, they try and attempt to fight with the arena being missed. Arbed, Remnant at the ready, will be able to dodge out of the range of the Crystal Maiden ultimate. EG, they'll keep their distance for now. Arteezy looking for an opportunity to step back in on this, but BEASTCOAST, they're out with the retreat. They pop the smoke and keep their distance.
That's a fresh meta. He just popped it. This could be dangerous position here still for Arteezy. He could still just get popped. He has the pipe aura around him. He's going to need that near him. But all this time, meta is just taking down. Not getting any farm, not getting any pressure either. This tier 1 still standing. All tier 1s on the side of BEASTCOAST standing.
What have we here?
So a quick move there from Chris and Whisper down towards the bottom. Maybe seeing if they could catch out whoever turned up to clean up this bottom lane. It is Arbed.
Not the spear just yet. They definitely have enough damage to control. The max frostbite is at the ready.
If Arbed shows again, that could be BEASTCOAST's key to go. And here we have it. Chris is in. Have a large toss. Spear back TPs are coming in, but it's not going to be soon enough to save him. Arbed taken out by the combo once again from BEASTCOAST.
It looked like he kind of maybe saw them, maybe thought he was going to be tanky enough, but no, way too much damage, way too much control that BEASTCOAST does have down here. Again, just continuing to make all these beautiful plays. And I think that is going to be, yeah, the Axe is going to be done now for K1 for Hector. He's having a phenomenal game, and they continue to shut down Abed. 0, 4, and 3 on this Ember Spirit.
See what sort of a defense EG can put together around these tier 1 towers. Now the BEASTCOAST are amping up the pressure on these lanes.
I mean, it's pretty astonishing, right? The team that has the TB and the Brood are the ones that have been able to take a tier 1, and they've actually lost pretty much all 3 of theirs in a second here. BEASTCOAST just really bringing that early action these first 20 minutes. Not really giving any opportunities for that Brood. As we mentioned, as Bobo was talking about it, they've gotten this Brood a lot of the times, but BEASTCOAST, they answered it pretty much with at least 4 or 5 of the picks in their draft, and so far you're seeing it work pretty damn nice.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw obviously the other day in the series that EG played, right, both games, they were able to get their hands on this SF that they've been winning through the group stages throughout, and it was clearly something that Thunder Awakened had planned for. You've got to ask yourself, with the Brood being let through this game, it's probably something that BEASTCOAST had a pretty good idea of how to deal with, and so far, looks pretty good. Top lane, Whisper and Chris continuing to just pick up these kills wherever they go. I mean, as long as BEASTCOAST pretty much have a combination of any 2 of these heroes, they've got excellent kill potential.
Damage and control more than necessary. Whisper continues to have this crazy game. He's top net worth still, somehow, on this off-lane Mars, 8, 1, and 7. I think it's something we've gotten used to, of course, with Whisper in some of his games where he just totally pops off, but this is ridiculous.
EG finally able to get some pressure onto the tier 1 themselves, bottom. This tier 1 should be gone. No interest here from BEASTCOAST to do anything about that one. I've seen K1 get into the triangle.
He's got Arteezy at 0 mana, so they know that Arteezy can't fight now for the next few moments. They might look to pressure even harder. Or they might even just look for him.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
That's the full BKB right now here, Arteezy, so we'll feel a little safer in the team fights as long as he's able to get it off before that first jump.
They might just walk in triangle, though, right? Because, yeah, Terrorblade, no mana. They know he can't fight. They're going to just try to claim this area, maybe get some vision in the area, too. Everyone very afraid. They're like, let's rally around the pipe. Everyone stand near Nightfall. Make sure that we're okay versus the burst damage.
EG, you see there, I'm thinking about trying to set things up onto Whisper, but not an easy hero to go for at all.
And he's got a BKB coming out of the courier right now, so even if they try for it the next time, they might just get fully surprised and turned on. He's just so farmed on this Mars. 209 last hits.
Smoke up from EG. They want to try and take this fight already. The Whisper's in. He's able to get the combo there. The two-man spear onto Arteezy. The Avalanche forward.
Oh my.
It's Arteezy and Crit caught out by Whisper. EG, is there anything they can find in return? They're trying to go for Stinger. They will be able to take out the CM. K1 on the backline has gone straight for Fly. Another spear pushing back Arbed and Nightfall. Arbed did have a remnant of the ready to get out, but Fly won't escape. Neither will Nightfall. An Avalanche from Chris puts a stop to his TP out. There's 4 dead on EG. They're trying to get out and look for these fights. But Beast Coast, they're just prepared for them every single time. And this, of course, is the problem with how good Beast Coast is at jumping EG. Arteezy just doesn't have the chance to get his BKB off. Look at this jump, Whisper.
Perfect chain stuns every single time, and they all are just following up each other perfectly, right? Chris comes out of nowhere and just cleans it up. That's just amazing, really, from Beast Coast. Every time, more than prepared for every single fight. Now they get a Roche.
That's so smooth here from them. The kills, 24/7.
Look at Gojira, right? I mean, for me, his early game has been absolutely ridiculous. Him and Whisper, 7-0 and 13 on the Snapfire. He's kind of set that whole tempo from that bottom fight with the kisses. Yeah, they're really crushing this game right now. EG, and we said, maybe that pipe was going to be something they could perhaps try to rally around. It has not been the case. I don't know what the next time is. Yeah.
They fight through it. Sure, the magical's getting reduced a bit, but they've still got a heavy bit of physical, a big old punch, of course, coming out from the Mars, the Tiny, the Slug, after the stats build up with the Essence shift. A lot of things that EG have to be very, very scared of if Beast Coast are the ones starting the fight.
Yeah, it's like they have this Sven who's got this war cry for Arteezy, but Arteezy's like, I don't need armor. I need to just survive. I need more HP and some type of more magic resist, but they've got really all they can do for him. And Beast Coast just keeps getting onto him. Whisper, every single one.
So for EG now, they did try and smoke out, look for a fight with the BKB on Arteezy. Now that there's an Aegis on K1, do you just have to hold back on that plan, wait for the 4 minutes to pass, or do you still have to take that risk, try and make that move?
I don't know. I don't know what they can really do. The pressure is so immense, really, from how ahead all 3 of these cars are. Who can they really burst down? It's got to be like some type of support. So pretty difficult at the moment. Beast Coast just really controlling the map perfectly. I don't think you could ask for a more crisp 24 minutes.
Oh, it's been kill after kill after kill.
Kill a minute, right?
It really has been, yeah.
And it's not like it's on the supports every single time. Sure, Fly, he's got 8 deaths. He's got a lot because he's had the soak for the TB. But look at the deaths on the cores too, right? 0-3 on Arteezy, 0-4 Abed, 3 kills on Nightfall. It's been great pressure on every single one of those cores from Beast Coast.
I mean, what would you sort of consider the next potential chance or sort of item that the EG, one of their cores, is going to be able to pick up, could give them a better shot of being able to take these team fights? What are they looking towards next as the next sort of power spike that they'll be able to get towards against this pressure of Beast Coast?
I mean, it's the BKBs that are going to come out for both of the cores. The Ember probably needs one too, but the problem is that they're playing into the double BKB already. Actually, the triple BKB that's going to be coming out from the cores of Beast Coast. So it's just not an easy thing to do at all.
Crit. Chased down by Whisper. And this bottom lane, tier 2 in trouble. Not something that EG is going to be able to do too much about right now. They've just got to stay away from Beast Coast. Scramble towards these next items on their cores, and not prepared to fight.
It's like they have to avoid fights, and even when these situations get into the point where they have to take a fight, I don't know how they're going to really do it. They're going to have some complete miracle where the Terrorblade's able to sit in the back and just wail on targets, but even then, they're so durable. These cores are just so tanky on the side of Beast Coast, and they're not easy to hit either. That Slark has so many different ways to just reset in and out of the fight, and he doesn't even have Shard yet, so that's going to make it so even everyone else is going to be a lot slipperier too for Arteezy to stick onto.
We'll push back the TP just from Crit though. The rest of EG able to continue to stay out on the map at least. Still being able to farm despite Beast Coast being as close as they are to EG's base right now. And swing over towards the mid. Beast Coast look to push towards another tier 2. again, attempting to force EG back into a defensive position.
I think we're going to see BEASTCOAST start to be very, much more aggressive in a few moments. Stinger
trying to go for him here. He's able to put the Ghost Step to get a bit of the ultimate off. RTZ will manage to put the BKB in with the meta. They're able to take down Stinger.
He has to run, though. With the BKB, he just has to book it. A meta BKB to run. That says everything about the current game state.
And Whisper now godlike on the Mars.
He almost, I mean, he's on his way to his refresher. He's pretty close to having it already. That is, I mean, that's definitely the most farm Mars I think I've ever seen. 14k net worth in 26 minutes.
That's insane.
This is crazy. Level 18 as well.
Dire's courier
Immediately kill the courier too. Nightfall.
Oh, smile. Chris Luck here. DD in the bottle, ready for the next jump.
He's got the Echo finished back up to it, disassembling it for BKB.
That's a huge amount of burst between the magical and physical. If he jumps any target there, they're probably gone. Maybe Arteezy survives through it.
And
but even that, he's going to be left so low after Chris is in and done with him.
The thing is, too, they can jump pretty recklessly on all three cores because they can probably just BKB reset out of the fight right afterwards. ZG now kind of having to watch their T2 just drop while RTZ tries to farm some farm. But yeah, BKB on cooldown, meta on cooldown. The whole map is BEASTCOAST's. I mean, even if he had those, the map is still pretty much there.
Mid K1. He knows now with the Zags, and of course with a minute left on the Aegis, he can start to tease around with EG right underneath their tier 4s.
Look how spooked they are. He forces the Wraith Pack. Like, that's how scared Nightfall is, even though he's at his tier 3. And we mentioned earlier, of course, that Wraith Pack is going to get cleared every fight from the little Shredder.
The setup on a Chris. Good force stuff there to get Chris out of the combo, away from the sharpshooter.
Early kiss is being thrown. Bit of a whiff.
Chris is falling a little low. He's holding on to the BKB. And I bet he's thinking about committing towards some Chris there, but jump forward. In fact, it's K1 that's going to be the one jumping on him, and now there's going to follow. They'll be able to keep him locked down.
Oh, he didn't jump. He continued fighting inside. The Pounce waited and waited. Didn't want to jump away. Didn't expect Whisper.
And of course, just before this fight, just so close to the BKB on the Ember. About a couple of hundred gold he was away, Arbed, but didn't have it for this fight. And now, beyond the racks, BEASTCOAST, they're ready to just continue diving in. Arteezy's TP'd over, but he's low on mana.
He has his BKB to walk away.
He has. He's TP'd in. It's a BKB and a move back to the base. So he'll heal up, but even when he's done, he won't be able to present himself here towards this barracks defense. As BEASTCOAST, they'll push on, force out the fortification.
I mean, they probably click on Whisper and they're like, oh god, he has another full round of everything because he has this refresher. We can't take the fight. And no BKB, Rax is going to drop. EG can do nothing but watch.
Straight over towards the mid. They may have lost the Aegis, BEASTCOAST, but I don't think they're going to feel they need to back off anytime soon.
He still has 72 Agi, so wanted to get a little bit of poke. Now they'll reset the lane.
Okay,
in a good position.
They will. Yep. Give a little bit of respect to EG. I mean, they're happy to sort of play this one out.
They also just got like 2,000 gold on every single hero, right? Like everyone just got a full item injection.
Sure.
They're going to pick those up, wait for the next fight, clean up the area of the top side, get that tower, and just wait for EG to walk kind of into them because they can just take any fight on BEASTCOAST here.
A lot of money on Gajira as well. Looks like he's going to be picking up the Lotus here for the team. Bash has just been grabbed up by K1. Hexer.
They're so farmed. This Snapfire is getting close to being at the same levels of the Ember and the Bruce. Yeah, he's got Lotus stun, so tons of different ways to protect his teammates. Great spells to either dispel.
Anybody can go in.
Yeah, amazing things to reflect, protect versus Sunder. I mean, this is a godly Lotus game.
I mean, that's the thing as well. Now, BEASTCOAST, as we've seen so far this game, they're the kind of team that will go in without these items.
Yeah.
You know, so now that they've got them, they're going to be stepping it up to the max in terms of how aggressive and sort of, you know, they'll look to move in and dive wherever they want to go.
And look at this hero damage, right? Like, we were mentioning Gojira a lot this game, and you see why when we bring that up. 14.4k.
I mean, he's 8-0-14 here. The man hasn't died this game.
They banned, you know, and they first phase banned his clockwork too, and he got his Snapfire. He's totally popping off.
He's definitely making quite the case here for maybe that snap being more of a priority.
GG. All right, they've grouped up.
Arteezy was able to finish his next time. He's picked up the Silver Edge.
All right. I mean, we'll see what it's going to be able to do. Do they even have the damage to go through any of these cores? Will they kill any of them? I mean,
we're talking about Gajira. He's been quite the problem. So getting rid of him at the start of the fight, not a bad move here for EG. See if they can get more. BEASTCOAST very quick to drop down the arena. Now K1 is able to jump over towards Arbed. Arbed has got the BKB done for this fight, but there is a cost to bash on K1, so Arbed's got to be careful how close he keeps the slot. K1 turns over towards Nightfall. Nightfall able to get down to the low ground. Whisper will deal with Fly. A God's Rebuke to take him down. K1 jumps forward. He's looking to hunt down the Spider. Nightfall attempting to juke around the trees. A buyback comes out from Fly. EG And the BKB for Chris is about to come to an end. RTZ attempting to close the gap on him.
They want to get one of these cores so bad.
I mean, Chris is getting pretty low. Town with the avalanche, but RTZ is able to finish him off. Stinger as well looks to be in trouble. Pops the Ghost Scepter. They'll block him up. RTZ will claim another double kill for Artur.
All right, seems like the plan is get on top of the Snapfire, remove Gojira from the fight.
Not a bad plan. Not a bad plan at all, as we saw there. They only had to commit one buyback there. EG Flight getting back in on the action.
I mean, it's the first time EG's gotten anything going there.
Absolutely.
So they need any type of momentum. It's still a long ways and still needs, I mean, quite a lot more of those, but at least they finally do get a kill onto that core.
As you say, a different approach to the fight, one that we haven't seen from them, or at least them be able to do so far this game. Getting Gojira, killing him for the first time this game, and did end up giving that bit of an opening that, I mean, as we saw in the damage numbers, once you sort of remove the highest DPS hero from the team, things are probably going to go a little bit better for you in these team fights.
Yeah. Yeah, they were able to get a good wraparound and just good connection because the Mars ult also didn't connect perfectly. And saw Slark a bit low mana. They all just were a bit awkward about going for a full commitment on the fight on Beast Coast. EG still needs quite a lot more of those. Even though you see TB, he's getting close to that Mars net worth. He's actually ahead of the Slark now. As we said, there's still a lot of things that get on him. Still a tough game for him to carry.
Let's have a look. I see sort of how Beast Coast come back out onto the map after suffering that last bit of a rough team fight, the roughest they've had. Pretty much the only rough one they have had this game. Of course, they're straight back over onto EG's half of the map. They know that they still have this lead 13k advantage, 30-11.
DD rune bottom, and Roche is about to spawn 2 seconds. The spider's constantly being sent across the map to kind of scout it out.
Sure.
See if Beast Coast goes and checks it themselves. Chris is hunting, though. He's still smoked up with that DD, and he has that small crit. Could burst most heroes. And yeah, they're probably going to go back and check that Roche in a few seconds since they have all this ward. These wards set up, they have all the lanes in good position. Chris still kind of looking for something, but he's just going to catch the next wave. And now it's scouted.
EG, they have hit the timing here with the smoke themselves. They'll try and get over
See what
towards
they can
this
do.
area, knowing that potential is there for Roshan to be back up.
So many eyes early on RTZ. If he can actually just stay alive in the fights,
he does a fair bit of damage. He's crit with the jump. I mean, it's not a bad jump again. They found Gojira to start the fight. They're in onto the Snapfire. They've taken him down. K1 turns over towards Crit. Crit trying to get away with the pounces in. Whisper goes in with the arena, but the BKBs are out from EG. We see Abed look to chase down Stinger. Stinger will die before the TP is successful. The BKBs from both sides about to come to an end. So he's able to continue on further.
I mean,
but now the BKBs, I mean, it looks to be
they're
EG.
going to get themselves now.
See, having the meta still going, they feel they're stronger around the pit. They were able to eliminate the 2 supports.
Whisper still has another round of ult. It's going to refresh. He does get seen. The illusion's on him.
Chris is in with the jump. 3-man avalanche. There's the arena. Will be able to lock down Abed with the spear. They've taken out the Ember. Abed does have a buyback available if he wants to commit towards this Roshan fight. And Nightfall trying to escape the arena, but he's trapped in. Takedown by the God's Rebuke. Whisper dies in return. He'll immediately buy back to get over towards the Roshan once again. But Roshan is falling fast into EG. Chris is in with the jump. RTZ is pretty low. The top goes down. The line of the spear. RTZ goes down. As EG, they attempted to finish off the Roshan, but they didn't respect the buyback there from Whisper and the ability for Beast Coast to jump into the pit once more.
So many ways, as we mentioned from earlier, it's just tons of ways for them to jump in and out of these fights. As K1, what a pounce, gets the catch. They're able to reset, right? Even though they lost Gojira, didn't have the buyback, Beast Coast is able to reset in and out of the fights a few times, and they do get that catch. They get it onto Abed, and then Chris gets the perfect toss-up onto RTZ.
And the excellent calls here continue from Beast Coast in terms of the moves that they made. You saw no hesitation from Whisper with that buyback.
Yeah. A pretty admirable fight, though, for being 14,000 gold behind from EG. Finding a pretty decent chunk of kills, but now they're going to lose some pretty massive objective damage, maybe even losing all of the racks here.
I mean, it's going to go down pretty fast here to the right clicks. Yeah. Oh, Chris on the tiny.
And K1, he still has some stacks, too, so top. They've got one more glyph. He's respawning, but no matter when he's up 30 seconds.
And man, they have one more fight as well, EG. They're going to have to pull everything together here for this last stand against Beast Coast. It's Beast Coast.
They'll give the respect. They'll back it up.
Further big items being picked up. AC's complete here for Chris.
Yeah, they're like, we don't need to really fully rush it here. Pick up these items. Still have Aegis for a few minutes. Almost a Hex finished up also on Whisper, so. EG looking to maybe take advantage of the fact that Beast Coast might be kind of chilling back here. Maybe they can catch something big.
The moves they do make at this point, they seem risky, but they have to take these risks, EG.
They're sending
the only way they get back into the game.
Yeah, they're sending the spiders to scout all over. We're seeing them from Nightfall up top lane, so they're trying to find somebody bottom side. And look who it is again.
It's Gojira. He's able to get the force stuff off in time to break away from the bushwhack, but still RTZ chases him out. A further force and a jump with the cookie will dodge the sharpshooter, so Gojira this time will live.
And now EG's got to run.
They certainly have. If the Snapfire's alive, things are probably going to go rather bad for EG. As Fly goes down, RTZ holding on to his BKB for now.
They know where he is, though. Whisper, he gets
the spear. Oh, BKB is there from Artesian. Immediate response is the bashes are there from K1. Now Artesian needs help, but he needs it now. The bash is there. The silence as well. Artesian goes down. No buyback available for him as Beast Coast, they're ready to go for more. Abed able to BKB TP out. But EG, they've got to try and hold here with just the three of them against the full 5-man push from Beast Coast. No Artesian for nearly a minute.
That's Mega Creeps for sure. Arteezy stepped up, got speared. I know this was fight that they tried to get a catch onto the snap and they were fully surrounded.
The 2 times they've managed to come out top was when they've been able to catch Gojira. Outside that they couldn't, and indeed they'll tap out. There's no coming back from this position. GG is called. Beast Coast here in game 1, looking as hot as ever really here against EG. Outside of the 2 rough fights, it was pretty much perfection from really Beast Coast from start to end.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give so much credit really to this top lane, right? Yep. The Mars and the Snapfire, they really set the tempo for this game. I mean, Chris Luck too, of course all of them had their parts in it, but that top lane for me, they were doing everything. They were making moves around the map, they're setting up the kills. Whisper somehow top net worth majority of the game. That was quite a performance really from Beast Coast. They just constantly shut them down, and it was all 3 cores, right? Like we mentioned, it wasn't like they're getting all these kills on the supports, they're getting the kills on the big targets.
It really was, and it's something that we've seen in the past from Beast Coast when they get themselves onto the main stage here at any sort of LAN. They just pop off to another level. The way they're in sync with each other, it just doesn't get any better. And EG, they're going to have to step it up coming into game 2, because this game 1, Beast Coast, they're going to be on a bit of a different level here as they'll get the first victory in this best of 3. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, OD Pixel and Fog. Yeah, Beast Coast coming out of the gates super strong here in game 1, defending their towers, dominating their lanes, making all the rotations, all while simultaneously keeping their hair. What a victory. Guys, do you want to break down a little bit? What did you think about the game?
Just an incredible game from Beast Coast. Like, they identified how EG needed to enter this game, a strong lane from Brood, getting the early towers and kind of choking out the map. So Beast Coast were like, let's just dumpster our lanes, let's just dominate this early game, and then this EG entire concept just never came online, so you didn't get to see EG play their style of game.
Well, we were quite excited about the EG concept, and I think Bulber even said, we get to play around, our Brood. We're quite happy. They looked like they were setting the pace of the draft, but then it all, after the draft.
The concept is good. But in Dota, you can have a good concept. If you lose 3 lanes, you're not going to win the game. It doesn't matter. And they did get dominated quite a bit everywhere. Later on in that first rotation towards the bottom lane, it needed to work. If that doesn't work, they all just crumble. And exactly that happened because Whisper and Gojira, they had such a good start. They had levels on time. They could rotate. And this is exactly what we're talking about right here.
Yeah, and this is the where they overstayed their welcome. I think you were mentioning. And Sheet, whisper, whisper, whisper.
Whisper, whisper, whisper.
Whisper to me.
He's way too good. Like 13, 14 minutes, he had the highest net worth in the game, like 7,000. He's got every small item that you need on Mars. Like that might be one of the biggest downsides to Mars. You have to buy a bracer, a soul ring, phase boot, so on, and it can delay your blink really hard. But he had all of that by 14 minutes, and he was just so active. He's going to bot, right, responding to dives, getting those kills, rotating again, getting that blink, making more plays happen. He was just the complete crucial point for Beast Coast draft to play around his timing. He set the tempo so well for everything they wanted to do.
Yeah, and even in this fight that you're seeing here, unfortunately Arteezy not able to pop his BKB before meta and just kind of got caught out and deleted. And yeah, nice pickups and a cleanup by Beast Coast.
Sometimes these small items, they truly do hurt you. They delay your blink dagger, but just like Sheep said, small items in a game such as this one actually work in his favor because he has mana always to spam out versus the Broodmother, so he can't really assault the towers. He can position himself really well in front of that tier 1 tower, just defend it forever. Meanwhile, EG, I feel like they got caught in this, okay, we're losing, but they forced the tier 1 tower a little bit too hard too many times. That's why you just saw Arteezy. He gets picked off before the BKB is popped. Why? Because they have all the vision they need. They know exactly where EG is all the time.
Yeah, and then again, congratulations to Beast Coast, really selling pace. And I know you guys have a lot of questions. You want all the answers here at the panel, and one of the most important questions, hairlines, this man can answer for you.
I have a terrible hairline, and I reciprocate with all the players who have gone bald, and I one day will be bald myself. But the Yatara effect, this is the most critical thing we have right now. We have multiple players at TI11 who are going bold. Don't forget Yataro, at the previous TI, he had never beaten VP during the DPC. He shaves his head, bam, 2-1, beats VP, all right? We have Skem, draws with Team Spirit, can't beat them at the Arlington Major. He then goes bald, bam, beats them. We then have Panda, he plays against EG. In the Anna Major on no ping, he loses to them 2-1. Guess what? He goes bald. He then wins 2-0 against EG. So finally, Arteezy, Bald Teezy, hasn't beaten Beast Coast yet. Draws with them 1-1. Yet to find out if he can beat them. He lost game 1. The bald effect dictates he has to, in theory, statistically, that this time they aren't lying, Naz, he should win. But if he doesn't beat them, it's over. The Yatara effect has crumbled.
So this is one of the biggest storylines here at TI. It really is. And so we need to go to an expert. I think we got Slacks and Casey.
Hello. Hello, hello, hello. He has decided to join us, and we will bring our energy together like a bold spirit bomb. Ladies and gentlemen, Bold Boys for Arteezy. Bold Boys for Arteezy. Bold Boys for Arteezy. Bold Boys for Arteezy! Taking our tour! Woo!
Can I play?
Yes! Bold people for Arteezy! Bold people for Arteezy! Bold people for Arteezy! Bold people for Arteezy! Let's go!
And also get everybody.
That's it. That's the bit. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Some insight. That was some insight.
Pressing.
Bro,
That's an exclusive. You've never heard it before. This is a TI exclusive.
Yep. And does that change your opinion on, you know, what?
No, I think Beast Coast is probably going to win the series. They played game 1 incredibly, but a lot of bounce back from EG required because, yeah, Beast Coast was a step above.
Yeah, and now they've got a little bit of momentum, and of course this is lower bracket. EG can go home. Beast Coast, you know, only need one match to finish this one out. Lizard, I interrupted you again, as I am the silencer.
I'm very happy you did, because that bold energy is way too strong. I forgot my thoughts anyway, so it's all good.
All right, and Sheeps, you know, you've been bigging up that team. Game 2, though, looking at EG, where are you thinking for EG?
Oh, it's hard, right? Because everything comes down to the lanes and the start of the lanes and making sure that those go well. Because it's hard, no matter what your draft looks like. Like you said earlier, if you lose the lanes, it's just too hard to play the rest of the game. So focusing on making sure that goes well is just the first stepping stone for playing against Beast Coast. Because Beast Coast are just a team that likes to win lanes, group up, fight, push you, fight. So you have to be able to fight back.
Yeah, but of course, we mentioned a little bit earlier that you put up some stats. It was EG have, you know, dominated, so to speak, a little bit more over Beast Coast, or at least the SA region. So is this a new position for them?
So I think the EG's always just drawn out with Beast Coast. I think, what was it? EG's normally, statistically against Beast Coast, they always win game 1, then they lose game 2.
Okay.
So it's the first time in the last 3 matchups where EG's actually lost game 1. So maybe it's all changed now. Maybe just Beast Coast is leveled up. But yeah, EG normally has SA's number, but right now it doesn't look that way.
I want a little bit more about this. I want more history. And to bring us some history, it's Tsunami.
They've had SA's number for a very long time. In fact, I want to take you real far back. EG in South America, this is a storied rivalry. All the way back to, let's say, 2015. Let's say Evil Genius's PPD. Does that ring a bell to you? And them always going head-to-head in South America. Back then, it was the Brazilians. It was Pain Gaming. Can't really say that SA was too respected of a region back then. PPD, he didn't want to play on those servers. Old Universe, though, he was trying to come to the defense of South America. It took a little bit of time, though. It took the Dota Pro circuit to really foster the region. It took all the way to, let's say, the Anna Major, when things started to finally turn around. poor Beast Coast was on the cusp of being able to qualify to TI. It was all up to Evil Geniuses. EG had to take out 2 of the teams, TNC and Enigma Galaxy, to let Beast Coast in to TI-10. Te quiero mucho, Arturito. But it goes both ways. Beast Coast, they'll repay their debt. 1 year later, come to TI-11, the Arlington Major. All of a sudden, EG's in trouble. They're in just the border of being able to directly qualify. Fnatic and Outsiders, if they place high, say sayonara to Evil Geniuses. But Beast Coast repays their debt. They save Private Artezi, and they bring EG all the way to this TI. Now, will Beast Coast giveth and taketh away? Will they do it in a 2-0 fashion? We'll have to find out with this next game.
Thank you very much, Tsunami. Yeah, it's, you know, there's a history, and it's. I want to say hi, by the way, Tsunami. How are you doing? I hope they're going to turn your mic back on in a moment.
I'll hang out. I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, we've seen you over in the corner, kind of preparing these segments. You've been playing a lot with your new toys.
I have been. It's been a delight to augmented reality enhance the experience. I thought that you were a hologram for the first day.
Yeah, I also got told though you did say you asked to make all the Dota heroes smaller. Could you tell us?
Listen, the scale is just inherently off. They're mere pixels on my screen. I'm glad that you're all sitting because then I would also feel somewhat underscaled. But we're fine right now. No, please stop.
Wait.
I'm not a fan.
Don't break the panel.
Anyway, so.
This is why they only let a certain amount of people over here, because too many Dota commentators in one room and panelists, it just goes haywire. But to get your opinion on Game 2, what are you thinking between EG and Beast Coast?
I know Bulba was particularly thrilled about getting the Broodmother as a first pick. I remain reluctant. Nightfall has been doing great on the hero. In fact, I think this was only his second loss on the Broodmother. But time and time again, I see stubbornness be the downfall for Evil Genius drafts. I think Broodmother might be one of those things that they might need to go back to the lab, and same thing with the Sven. I know Fly's been doing great on Sven as well, but it's becoming a bit telegraphed. You can get away with it in group stage, but come bracket play, come against South America, you got to wrap it up.
All right, and the teams are on their way out. Thank you very much, Tsunami. And we look forward to getting more AR and more Tsunami and hopefully Purge in the future as well as the teams enter for Game 2. This is potentially the elimination game for Evil Geniuses. Tsunami mentioned, yes, maybe stubborn, but they've, you know, a seasoned team. They've got a lot that they can show here on stage. They've got a lot that they can draft. You know, I'm really looking forward to see if they can, you know, kind of get Arteezy more involved and more comfortable. It did feel like those lanes really kind of didn't allow him to play his game. But on the side of Beast Coast, what a great storyline. If they can come through this lower bracket, beating out EG would be huge. And, you know, so many South American fans, you know, this has really been a great year for SA.
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioning about how great that previous game was, I think in the pre-show we mentioned how EG, they rely on like Arbed, Crit, they kind of unlock everyone off the play. Beast Coast did an exceptional job at just preventing them from having their games, so we never got to see EG hit their form that allowed them to top their groups. And ever since that loss to Boom, then they lose to Thunder Awaken, and now this game as well, it's like we feel like we've not seen EG really leave laning phase with a position which they can play. I feel like they've now had multiple games just back to back where they just entered hoping for a mistake from their opponents.
But that's usually EG as well, right? Like their mid lane might win, but overall they look for an evenish laning stage, a draw perhaps, and then they slowly control the map, they farm it all up. They were never considered like this ultra aggressive team that's going to get on your side of the map and just destroy you early on. They're more methodical.
It did feel, though, that they were sort of lacking the idea of what they were meant to do, because your lanes went badly, but you're not without tools. We looked a lot at Arteezy and the utilization of TB. A lot of these times the carry will go to the off lane and help push the tower, and when you have Brood, you want to sort of take this tower and unlock more of the map, because if Beast Coast are defending their mid tower, which was a massive priority for them, you can at least try then to fan out across the map and outfarm them a little bit. And you're not doing that when you're not taking these towers. So we saw Arteezy instead go mid with the meta and die there. Instead, I think if they had used more of their forces to go bot and take that tower, that would have been a stepping stone to start getting the map back.
Yeah, for sure. Just being able to open up the map and just play your heroes. And like when you look at the historical games between EG and Beast Coast, the time that they are beating Beast Coast is when they have just really strong, robust lanes that can take the fight. Like in Arlington, they had Viper Marcy. In the Stockholm Major, they had Tide Hunter with some Shaman, Quaps, like these heroes that just do well and then just overwhelm at a strong point. And this previous game, it was more just we exist, take towers, and we continue farming, and then we pressure.
But
so
you could see the idea, right?
Yes.
Like eventually, if the TB has a decent, like we can't just backtrack everything we said during.
No. Like, I mean, if the Brood had a good lane, it's completely different, right?
Exactly. You kind of take over the enemy map, then the Ember can actually catch the backlines. In this game, Abed felt neuter. Like he couldn't do anything. He couldn't cut to those backlines. He couldn't deal with the Crystal Maiden or with Gojira, and they played extremely well. Like we just can't talk about these things that EG hasn't done.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they're going to do this time round. Thank you, Lizard, because we're ready for game 2. We'll be heading into the draft momentarily.
Beast Coast versus Evil Geniuses. Game 2.
Game 2. Getting ready to start. The draft is, as they said, moments away, as they will soon be getting their first bans. And this could be EG out of the international, but of course, not necessarily. But if you were to, winning this, and you know how the games work, but what would you say if you were kind of back with EG? Like, where would the talk be? Because it's not that they've just lost their first game. It's that actually this is a continuation of a bit of a lost streak. So if you're a captain, if you're a coach, are you kind of now getting a little bit worried?
No, I don't think you should have fear at all at this point. I know it's hard, but...
Well, he's a panelist now, so you wouldn't be able to get him.
No, I wouldn't. That's true. Anyways, I'm going to try my best. My mum might be proud. But yeah, I think it's more about identifying what's gone wrong. And I think I mentioned it before. They've had like 4 or 5 games in a row now where they've not left laning phase with any wins to a lane, pretty much, it feels like. So they need to go in and go, let's respect Beast Coast aggression. Let's try and match some fight, at least in lanes. We don't need to be super aggressive playstyle and change EG, but we just need to be able to enter the lane and go, we're going to kill this hero, we're going to dominate a lane. And that's probably it. Just a little pep talk. Kill them.
Perhaps something like different position 5 can help with that. Because if you identify their losses as well, you had a very passive 5. You have a Sven. Later on, of course, he's strong. He brings utility. He brings the war cry. In the laning stage itself,
it doesn't set up kills.
It doesn't set up kills, and
it's not a Marcy.
Exactly, and it won't really dominate the lanes. You have to respect that Beast Coast are coming out all guns blazing. Like if you lose the laning stage that hard, they won't let you recover.
Yeah, and maybe that's a little bit of confidence from EG with like, hey, lanes. We can win and lose a couple, but don't worry, we're going to fall back on this mid-timing. But unfortunately, last match, they lost all 3 lanes. Sheep, still on the bit of the EG train. Do you agree? Just like, focus on the... No, we're on the EG train right now.
I want to get off. I want to get on the Beast Coast train.
You want to get off the EG train, because it could be going over a cliff. Okay?
I got to get out of here.
Yeah, you've got first-class tickets to Beast Coast. You're sat up front. Yeah. So Beast Coast, what are they thinking if they come into game 2? Because they've got room to play, but of course you don't really want to play in the lower bracket, even though you're 1-0 up.
Oh no, they love playing in the lower bracket, I'm sure. I think for both teams, obviously Beast Coast can just keep playing the way they're playing. It's working for them. They have a comfort. They are in their style now. They kind of. This is one of the good things about group stages. You sort of just like figure out the kinks and problems that your team has if you're losing there, and take to the bracket. But for EG. Yeah, hopefully they're able to assess, like Bulb was able to help them assess like where the main problem was. I think they just didn't have a proper vision of their win condition for the game and weren't able to really put pressure on that. So if they go into this game 2 with more of like an idea, maybe, like we said, easier lanes, maybe an actual way to take towers more easily, right? Like
a I think it was like whatever. 20 minutes until the first tower went down on the East Coast.
Like, that is a very efficient way for them to get a foot in the game and give themselves the breathing space to be able to execute their strategy.
I just love the fact that we enter this draft and it's instantly 3 bans, like one after the other. And then it's like the final ban is let's think about it. And this time the adaptation is simply EG is going to be first pick. So Beast Coast, they now need to pick 2 heroes, respecting the fact that if EG wants to continue the Brood train, they're not going to be able to counter pick after seeing Brood. They're going to have 3 bans will occur, and then they get to go for it. So Brood's in the mind of Beast Coast once again.
And there's so many heroes as well, right, that have to be in your mind. It's the Brood Mother, it's the Marcy, there's also the Lash, there's Enigma as well that's in the pool, that's unpicked. They go with the Nyx. Is this a possible Lash then follow-up by Beast Coast?
Yeah, they played Lash on the second pick before. They've done Nyx and Enigma before, but Lesh doesn't sound too bad, just to give you some at least covering. Not the best hero for laning, but once you have items, it's decent. And
They go with
Lesh,
that. I feel like Nyx is a giveaway, right? If you're picking it that early on, you're setting up for the Lash. Meanwhile, the Crystal Maiden alone might not prevent you from going Enigma, but Crystal Maiden plus Dawnbreaker or anything that's left in the pool, that's decently good against Enigma, and you can't really lane there. We've seen PSG LGD even like Fade Beyond. He picks that Enigma. If he gets countered by one hero, it doesn't feel that impactful.
Yep, a refreshing change. EG, they have the opportunity to go for the Brood, but no, they just go for a Beastmaster. They're seeing what Beast Coast is picking up, sorry. You pick up this Beastmaster, you play around him. We see the value of Nyx Vendetta. If you can't actually, if teams are grouped up, it's kind of weak, so now it's forcing Beast Coast to think about that a little bit differently, and emphasis on countering Beastmaster on the lane.
By the way, did you guys expect Crystal Maiden to have as sick of a win rate as she is having at the moment? Like, what's happening here? Before
She's
TI?
got an Arcana coming.
Oh, okay, I see.
Another one?
Do you know in the team meeting before TI starts?
Arcana for the wolf.
Well, I thought,
for the
she
little
turned into a wolf. Is that not?
Oh,
Is
it's a
that
persona.
just? It's a persona.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Wait, she's actually
I spent so much
gonna
money
be
on.
a flurry.
I spent so much money
She
on my
doesn't
battle
turn into
pass,
the
but I
wolf.
haven't
We'll
got
be
it.
happy.
Yeah. I think her win rate makes sense though, because she's just good against a lot of the heroes in this tournament and secures so much of the safe lane. Like this Enigma having one of the biggest like ban rates and pick rates, right? CM's just nice against him in the lane, and the same with this Brood. Like all this attack slow that she provides and the kill threat in lane, it seems to be really nice. We've totally seen a shift in pos 5s going from these old warlocks and dazzles and stuff that just secures the lane to we're just going to try and kill the offlaner, and CM's great at that.
Yeah, did you expect that? Because the moment they nerfed Region, everyone was all in. Like, all in on the healers, right?
I thought that
Everything
was
switched
weird,
up, yeah.
because we didn't used to have this meta of sharing salves, which meant that Dota was used to be in a playable state where we didn't rely on just healing. So it made sense to me
Carries
that
got
we
too
did move to
pampered,
this.
all right?
Yeah, exactly.
Carries got so pampered. All cores got pampered. Bottle refills, salves. This is the finally supports get to play the heroes they want to play.
I'm just happy that bottle buying didn't ever become too popular.
You mean the
because
pos 5?
Yeah.
I remember there was a month in which my mid lanes would ping me, buy me a bottle. I'm like, bro,
I'm pretty sure Celery did that to
it's
Boom
not
a couple
happening.
times.
James tried that as well.
Some carries like to be bottle fed. Not going to name names.
Sure, that's what you like.
Name it.
I say carries, but you know,
I like the gratitude that Carrie gives me when I buy
Pause. The joke did not land. Continue, panel.
Sorry, this has been derailed, isn't it?
I'm not going to say that. Let's go. Continue.
No, I like this moment of awkwardness, actually. I'm just going to continue saying nothing.
Okay.
Panel just got a lot better here at the International. Welcome back. Lizard, Sheep, take us away.
Thank you. So this current opening from EG can really snowball into a death ball type lineup. It can be the complete opposite of what we saw last game, where they were more, okay, we're waiting for this late game timing of TB with our mid game Brood timing. This time they have a Beastmaster. There's a chance he gets counted in the lane, which could kind of slow their timing down. But if, we've seen like Visages pair up well with the Beastmaster. Marcy's still in the pool if they want to go for an aggressive support that can rotate on mid. You can really start to apply a lot of pressure to these lanes, because Beastmaster, even if he has a rough lane, he can still skill the boars, get 2 boars, go jungle camp if you need to. Like Zai used to play a lot like that.
And the utility that he brings, right? Like, if you're thinking about all of these Bat Riders and Lash Racks that are really strong right now coming from the mid lane or the off lane, you can use Beastmaster plus an additional right clicker to actually wear them down through the BKB in those early game fights. Like, the Bloodstone will not help you versus someone ranged just wailing down on you.
Yeah, there's a lot of range heroes that are quite nice to play against Lashrak. Like, you have Terrorblade, Drow, Sniper. All these heroes are still in the pool and potentially to be picked up. SF is the only one that's gone right now.
And it synergizes well because Nyx is
Sniper as well, right?
Yeah, Sniper. Because like Nyx doesn't really apply pressure in lane. It's like a lane secure. That's why you see it often paired with ranged heroes. Because Nyx secures the lane, ranged hero that would get pressured now gets to farm. And then when you have this like CM plus any aggressive style carry, it just makes it a lot easier. And in regards to the bans, e.g., they banned out like the Enchantress trying to cover the Beastmaster lane. They block picked the CM, and now Beast Coast to go for like one of the only options left really.
Right, it's one of the best ones versus Beast, but it's not like in the old days. We have this Beastmaster, you pick Enchantress or Chen, he can't lane. You just go Axis, right? Like you still do the same thing. You can go for Raid Pact and just lane against that. Perhaps not as easily, but it should be completely fine for EG.
Yeah, there's a lot of versatility with Beastmaster for sure.
But
Offlanes aren't as stubborn as the old days, at least.
then again, Chen brings much more to the table than just being strong against the Beastmaster, right?
Yeah, the fact that there's a lot of tankiness with Beastcoast. It's Leshrac going for a Bloodstone, you got the heal from Chen and Mech, Nick's Assassin is naturally being strong with the Carapace. If EG, if they commit to a fight and they're not getting that kill in that moment, the secondary fight, the prolonged fight, that's where they might struggle. And that's why they go for these more skirmishing heroes.
Are we hyped for Crit Mirana?
10 seconds.
I am, yeah.
That doesn't sound pretty hyped.
No,
That was like
the first thing I'm thinking is how easy is it for them to use a lot of like arrow setups, because stuff like OD, Kunkka, all this stuff, like any actual stun is really good versus Mirana, right? But they don't have an actual stun outside of Primal. Not Primal Beast, the Roar from Beastmaster. They have 2 roots, so when Beastcoast start to buy like Lotus Orbs and Dispels, it's a lot harder to get these guaranteed arrow setups.
I feel like if Beastcoast pick Kunkka themselves, like right now, that is all the damage mitigation required to be strong enough that you can brush off EG's aggression. Like,
So you would lane Nyx / offlane and Kunkka mid?
yeah,
Is
like,
that
yeah,
the idea?
exactly, yeah. Like that type of idea, and you just. I'm a bit worried for EG's damage. If it's the same as last game, right? If they don't come out ahead in lanes, having the CM Mirana who can't find kills, your Beastmaster who can't pressure towers, Embers, it could be the same story if Beastcoast come out ahead in lanes.
One thing that James did talk about earlier is crit and how if he's on fire, EG is on fire. And this is a game that's a perfect setup for him. Like on the offlane, you're playing with the Beast, but also versus Chen, you can deal with him. Plus, you can rotate toward mid, because it doesn't look that great, like you have Ember, but that's more than enough setup for a Mirana, for a crit Mirana. Chains into arrow, the Sashra can really suffer on the mid lane.
But it could be offlane because if it's Beast Coast.
Yeah, of course it could be.
Whisper is one of the guys that made Lesh offlane like really good. He took the idea from Brax, made it his own, and he's played it in Arlington. He can play it again here if he feels like it.
It applies for anything though, right? Like chains, arrow.
Yeah. It is really nice, but this Naga pick is. I talk about the dispels. There's one right there on this carry.
And you also have this kind of double set cover because Leshrac now protects the Naga, where EG obviously can't go for a PL pick, which is another potential option into Naga. Pacing-wise would have been a little bit weird for EG. So just the synergy of Leshrac covering the illusion killing heroes and then this Naga in lane, it kind of doubles down on Beastmaster where he needs to go axes for the magic damage to apply pressure, but that build feels good for a little bit of lane, but then you don't really farm later because you don't have the boar. It just forces Beastmaster to be a clunky hero, less tower pressure. So yeah, Beastmaster really just put themselves in a decent position.
Do you think he was going to do it anyway because of...
For sure, but it's like...
Because of the Chen?
It now even feels like it's worse,
a must, right? Yeah, okay.
This Naga pick looks really good for lanes and the things you highlighted, but in the game it can be obviously really hard. You're playing into the magic damage from all of Crystal Maiden's AoE spells, the Starfall. This Maelstrom on Ember Spirit is going to cause problems as well. It's also harder for Naga to skirmish and fight with her team the same way Slark did last game, so her participation is going to be probably a little bit worse this game, which means this last pick, we don't know yet if it's Whisper or Chris Luck, but that's going to be very pivotal in making sure that they have a good tempo running. And it's hard as well because Nyx and Chen are not typical playmaking supports. Nyx is pretty strong, mostly because the game's like slowed down and you can find more pickoffs, so they're probably playing more pickoffs in my opinion.
But do you think that just because they're a little bit slower, you have this slash from the offlane or the mid lane to actually push the tempo, and then Nyx can actually set up, run behind the towers, Chen can actually force, be that meat shield for Edict? It's doable, right? But I do like their bans quite a lot, like Pudge and the Alchemist, okay, the Lifestealer pick. Ooh. That's a little bit aggressive from EG, I would say, right? Like they're going a little bit all in earlier on.
A little bit, yeah. They're relying on, we're going to play this, Ember has a good game, Lifestealer gets a couple items, and we want to try and fight and win the game before Naga even gets to her items, because like Naga v Lifestealer, even in pubs, like Naga in pro pubs is beating Lifestealer consistently. Like this isn't like some, gotcha, your carry's going to have a bad game.
Is there some sort of an item build that you can go for, like back in the day, maybe a Mjolnir or something like that? Probably not.
Suggest some Radiant situation here?
I hope not.
I mean, maybe a Radiance or Maelstrom.
There was a time in which you could go for Radiance. Like, why is Pudge even banned out here? Because naturally he builds items that are good versus Naga, right? Can Lifestealer do the same? Probably.
In theory, yes, because the items don't feel too bad on this hero. It's actually so hard to think.
I mean, it might even...
I can't hear Slacks. It's kind of nice though, you know, if you're going to have you know, if you're going to go crazy, get a good voice in your head that's really.
I just thought I was going crazy.
No, you're not. That's because I know Slacks is going to. We're going to be lucky after this because we are going to get an interview with the Beast Coast coach. But the last pick then coming out from Beast Coast is going to be that Brewmaster, and you know, don't worry, you know, it takes years, but you can ignore Slacks. So
After a while.
yeah, it's okay. But we have him on the drip when we need him. So. Who do you like at the end of this draft for Game 2?
I think EG's put a lot of pressure on themselves to execute, and I think the simplicity of this puts Beast Coast in a more favourable position, especially how they executed Game 1.
Okay.
I really like the last pick Brew to just complement the lineup and wanting to fight. I think this Lifestealer could just ignore the Maelstrom stuff and go Deso, and then they just try and push towers with the Beastmaster Lifestealer and let Ember deal with Naga.
I care no drafts. Bold energy from Slacks was too strong.
Okay.
I'm going for Game 3.
We've heard him over here, and we're excited for you guys to chat with Slacks because he is going to have an interview with Beast Coast. Let's see how they feel about Game 2.
Thank you so much. Hello, guys. I am here with Guachi, the manager, and Ray Kill, the coach of Beast Coast. Thank you so much for taking time. So I want to ask you, a lot of comfort heroes coming through on this draft, the Chen, the Nyx. I believe you guys have not been beaten on your Nyx yet. So I want to know just how confident you were going into this game.
Estamos piqueando héroes que son muy comfort para nosotros. Hasta ahora creo que no hemos perdido ningún juego con Nyx. También piqueamos el Naga y el Chen. ¿Qué tan confiante estás con este draft?
Bastante confiado, ¿no? O sea, sé que ellos darán lo mejor de sí y responderán bien, pues. Bastante bien.
Well, we are very confident. I know they're going to play the best they can. So I believe in them, and that's pretty much it. We're confident.
All right. Well, we are absolutely happy to hear it. Thank you so much for that first incredible game. And we are ready to watch another incredible game to follow it up. Let us pass it on over to Owen and Fogged.
Thank you very much, Slacks. Yes, the game underway now here. Game 2 between Evil Geniuses and Beast Coast. Fog, this is Evil Geniuses' last chance, right? If they don't hold on here, that is it for them. And after such an incredible group stage, which if anything just gives more credit to how well Thunder Awaken and now Beast Coast are playing against them, you know, what do EG have to do to try and get back that magic that they had days before?
They just have to just clean up this early game, right? It really, everything fell apart before the 15-minute mark, it felt like in the last game. So let's see if they can do it this time. They did go for this Ember again, which has been having some difficulties. Of course, we've seen a lot of these lane dominators been able to punish the Ember so much. See what Abed's going to be able to do this time. It can be a little difficult versus the Lesh, but you can still, you know, do a lot with your Flame Guard and with your slide dodges and stuff like that. So we'll see how he fares versus the Lesh. And in the mid game, right? Because Ember, Nyx Assassin can be really troublesome to play this Ember in a lot of situations.
Excited to see sort of how the carry matchup works this time around. It's the second time today that we will have seen a Lifestealer played into an illusion carry. Earlier we had it against a PL. Worked out, I believe they're right, with the Armlet into Miona build. I imagine we're going to see sort of a similar direction being taken by Arteezy this game. Do you like sort of that approach in terms of what carry to pick into a Naga Siren lineup?
I think people just also, you want to make sure you get like this good lane as well, and it's a hero that actually can, you know, like you said, you itemize, you will be able to withstand the pressure of these illusions at some point. So I think it can work, and he also does have, it's not like it's just him on his own, right? He does have the Ember as well too, so if it was just a Lifestealer versus these illusion cores, then I'm always very worrisome. But even earlier we saw when it was the Lifestealer versus the PL, he had like an Earth Shaker, he had all these different elements to help him as well too. So I think it's, you know, it's not always like the best pick to deal with the illusions, but if you have some other complements, it can work out fine. So we'll see how that all goes. And yeah, I'm going to be looking a lot at Abed. I think last game, it was one of the rougher games I think I've ever seen from him. So let's see how much he's going to be able to improve this time.
Yeah, for sure. Those sort of early movements that he went for just did not pay off. So we'll have to see if he has a bit of a better chance getting that early momentum that he wants to be able to find to allow him to continue to make aggressive plays throughout the mid-game as an Ember Spirit and just be able to be a part of EG, just closing down the map and limiting the areas that K1 feels safe to sort of place himself.
Yeah. And let's see how much, how well of a game Nightfall is able to have this time too, because he tends to be kind of the guy for EG that really sets the tempo and the pressure. So let's see what he's going to be able to do on the Beastmaster this time, because he is playing versus Chen, one of the harder counters in a way versus the Beast as the game progresses, because even when you get your Helm of Overload, he can get his Shard, he steals your Ancients. There's so many plays that you can do as a Chen versus Beast. So see how Nightfall is going to going to adapt versus.
Of course, top lane as well. You know, Whisper, last pick of the draft, getting the Brewmaster this game. We saw him pop off once again, as he has been in many of the performances for Beast Coast. Last game on the Mars, getting in the Brewmaster. Yeah, Beast Coast, they've got to feel just as good, if not even better, than what they're able to see Whisper on in terms of heroes, because this is one that you can completely control the team fights with.
And they will have two different ways of completely controlling team fights, right? They have Naga Siren and Brew, so they have a lot of different ways where it's like, oh, this fight's not ours, we can full disengage. Or this is a fight where, oh man, it looks like we can stop them. We can actually fully surround them with the Brew and the Naga Siren. So right now, no one really being left too far behind Beastmaster. We see a little bit of pressure, of course, from that Chen, but he's going to go for the Axe route. Not having any of those summons early on. He'll be able to catch up. But Naga Siren, it does mean K1's just going to have a full free farm lane, which always tends to be pretty problematic when K1's able to do stuff like that. That being said, RTZ is also getting his full free farm. And we are seeing, of course, the switch of like 5 Mirana again, right? We've seen him multiple times now today. Crit playing it in the top lane. We have the CM playing bottom.
And as was mentioned in that pre-game interview too, you know, Gojira, Nyx Assassin, very much one of the supports of the tournament. It really feels like in terms of heroes. I mean, what makes this so good right now? He's still got a Mango and a stun back in 7 seconds.
I mean, he
might be a little
dead.
Maybe he can get the deny. No, won't be able to do so. So Crit will manage to chase him down and get that first blood.
5 Mirana, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to start seeing that on your phones probably. Looks, I mean, honestly, if you go for like the chase when people are pulling creeps, it's pretty good. You do pretty decent, right? The harassment and stuff. Nicely done from Crit. And now also, so looking at this mid matchup, we see the Ember doing pretty well. He actually has potential to get rotations from the arrow from Crit too, if they do get a connection. And he actually hits.
They do.
Uh-oh.
And with that, the Flame Guard's up. He'll run down Chris. Won't look to dive the tower, but you saw the potential there, Chris. Very, very fortunate that he was able to get the stun off himself at the same time. So the damage was limited. That Abed could get out onto Chris during that stun from Crit.
I was gonna say, I wonder if Abed does look to grab an early point and change to set up for these type of early rotations, but I mean, didn't need it that time. But Chris will get some help, of course. Gojira coming in, and they will be double checking these runes. An arrow connects again. Crit able to take that one away.
Some good early positioning here from Crit.
I like how he's playing it too, because he knows now Lifestealer's in a 1v1 matchup versus the Brew, so RTZ's just fine. He's going to be able to free farm. Whisper's going to get farmed too, but RTZ's under no pressure here. Yep. Actually getting some decent hits perhaps onto Whisper. There's a lot of creeps though. Like 2 waves, over 2 waves adding up.
Anything that Beast Coast heroes can do with that sort of pressure that's going to build up underneath the tower with these waves?
Not with these 2 heroes. The Brewmaster and the Nyx going versus the Lifestealer, it's pretty difficult. They can hurt Crit a little bit, but I don't think up here they can almost ever pressure RTZ. And that's the reasoning why we did see that Lifestealer pick, you know, we were talking about so much.
Yeah.
They have this Naga Siren and everything. It's not the greatest versus Naga, but in the entirety of the game, versus Lesh, versus Nyx, and even versus that last pick, Brew, pretty good game for the Lifestealer. Just the Rage in general is going to be really effective.
Oh, for sure. And of course, because that Brew was the ultimate last pick, you would imagine when Beast Coast were grabbing it, they weren't expecting it to be able to have its strengths in the laning stage.
No,
right? It's for all the other parts of the game, so
absolutely.
This is all as expected for Beast Coast in terms of the outcome of top lane.
Yeah, and it's for like the itemization of everything too in mid game, because he's going to go for this Wraith Pact, maybe in this game, because he is playing versus Mirana, and Mirana is kind of a Wraith Pact killer, so maybe he will opt for a different type of build, we'll see. I know he's got the Earn Q'd.
You have learned nothing.
And there's just a crazy amount of wave pulling going on here. It's mid lane. And Gojira's just completely abandoned top. He's like, I can't slow down our team.
Yeah.
So all 3 lanes.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Yeah, because Whisper's still going to be able to soak up the golden XP.
Yeah.
Or rather, would get the solo element of it, so he can get that 6 as soon as possible.
Yeah, and he can pull the lane himself, and there's not really a way that he dies to the Mirana and the Lifestealer. He can just, you know, Drunken Haze and run out of there.
Oh, and the same to be said, you know, in turn, you know, Crit, he's like, well, I'll head around the map and continue to just hover around the mid lane.
Huge play from Gojira. Stops the TP back from Abed from the low ground stun. That new stun cast range, that's 750. Pretty much everything there.
The movements. EG will still be able to maintain control around the 6-minute power in. It is a haste rune for Abed.
A pretty important one really for him to get, because he did get that TP canceled for the fill up. Smile. Chris Luck will go bottom. We'll be able to get his own bounty rune to fill it up. And we do see K1 now starting to get some jungle. So slight lead in the laning phase here for EG. Nothing too crazy. About 200 or 300 on each of the counterparts. Does mean this is Helm. Helm is pretty much done. Down bottom for the Beast. And he does actually start skilling these boars, so the Chen's going to be able to turn them against them.
see which sort of route Arteezy wants to go with his build. When you are trying to scale up against a Illusion Carry, do you still always get the armlet first, or is there potential to kind of go for that Maelstrom or farming item a bit quicker?
I always think armlet's the most core item ever on Lifestealer. Okay. That you kind of can't deviate too much. But we'll see. I mean, right now he's just got the phase and the bracer. Maybe he's feeling like he's not going to get it early enough that he does want to go Maelstrom. But I think armlet Maelstrom's fine. He's got the Ember, as we said, so he's already got a hero that can also deal with the Naga sometimes earlier on. But we shall see. Maybe he goes for more right click. I don't know. Nope. He's going to
yeah. I mean, this is, I think, the temptation, you know, to skip the armlet sometimes when you're trying to play this matchup, and you know you're going to be farming for the most part. You're not looking to turn up to fights with that first item. You're just looking to clear through the jungle, clear through your half of the map.
I guess that's the reason, right? He's under no contention. Even when they do bring heroes to his lane, he's like, they can't actually like threaten me too much. So I'm just going to be full free farm game. Okay.
See Crit and Fly trying to get a bit of information deep in Beast Coast half of the map.
And try to slow down this Naga Siren. As they see the Chen just like soaking down bottom, they know that Hector is just full jungling. Didn't actually find anything though. Nightfall, still level 5.
I'll be able to get Gajira here. A Frostbite. And with both spells on cooldown, has the Ferric Fire, but another leap's there from Crit. He'll get and take the kill. Chris able to find Flight in return back in the river.
Does get a trade for it. Abed with the DD. Very strong rune on the Ember Spirit early on here with the Max Light.
Chris has got to stay right back. Yeah. I mean, he knows that if Abed hits another slight, very likely that Abed will dive the tower for him. Yeah, so Chris gets right back into the triangle.
Perhaps you just wait for that one to disappear before you walk back toward that mid lane for sure. Yeah, but that does mean tower pressure. Abed and Crit able to hit mid tower. TP to mid, we get the bottle refill in time. And yeah, talking about Abed, you know, we saw that he had a bit of a rough one in the last game. He actually has a much easier game this time versus all these, you know, doesn't have as many stuns that he has to worry about. Last game, it's like everyone had a disable. This time, it's the Nyx and the Lash that he has to worry about mostly, so a lot freer of a time. But Carapace is really annoying.
It is very.
So.
Very much. Bottom Nightfall having to drop the roll straight away to give him a chance to run.
Uh-oh.
And Whisper, Primal split to the ready, and already a bit of a body block coming in with K1 and the micro of his illusions. Leaves no escape for Nightfall, so Raw expended, wasn't able to get out alive. At the same time, at another entry point of the jungle, they find Crit hovering around the stairs. So a couple of kills for Beast Coast as they make sure that EG does not feel too safe coming back over to their half of the map.
And Whisper, he actually used the Thunderclap, totally missed the neutral creeper, otherwise he would have probably been able to kill it a little earlier. Might still be able to get it with the next one. But making sure he actually was maximizing when they used the split to kill the beast, and oh, the dirt! Okay, when he used the split to kill the beast earlier, he actually used the Dispel to kill the boar and everything too, so he actually maximized quite beautifully on this brew.
At the moment, sitting the lowest of the cores in terms of net worth, but if anything, from his previous performances are to go by, you know that Whisper's going to be catching up very, very soon. Always ends up incredibly rich here, even from the offlane position.
And he wants to be a little bit more like active of moving around just because he doesn't want to sit in the lane versus a Lifestealer so much, so look for these constant kills and pressure on lanes.
Yeah, and of course we'll get to the point in this game where it's K1 playing a Naga Siren. He's going to be soaking up all the waves, he'll be taking the majority of the farm that presents itself on the map. So a bit, sort of a different spread of value that you'll expect to see grow for each of Beast Coast cores this time round.
See what he can find. Whisper shows himself, he's quite durable though.
A split, still on cooldown. TP reactions coming in. See if EG can get the kill quick enough. They're struggling to kill him at sort of the pace that they would hope for. Arteezy continues to push on, will get him. They lose Crit in return. We'll see if Arteezy can get out of this. He has the Infest, is able to jump into Abed, and Abed, with a Remnant at the ready, will be able to deliver Arteezy back to safety.
That was close. If that stun catch, it actually almost catches the both of them there. Could potentially be a disaster, but they do end up cleaning up Whisper. They do get a trade out of it though, so Beast Coast not the most fussed about it. We did see how tanky he was there, that brew. Even though he's only got the 1 point in the Drunken Brawler, he did have that Ogre Frost Mage, I believe, that Ice Arm that did.
Yeah, they're able to buff him up, but
yeah.
Quite able to keep him alive long enough. A nice read there from EG to know that they could get away with that sort of an aggressive play. Something they struggled to do in the early stages of Game 1. Already 11 minutes in, 5-3. EG definitely going to be feeling a lot better out of the laning stage than they did at this point in the first game of the series.
Absolutely. I mean, night and day difference. And Stinger, I mean, look at this positioning from the Chen. He's up here alone, trying to pressure Arteezy in the tower. He's getting a lot of damage on top.
Bottom lane, another split, and another attempt at a kill on towards Nightfall's Beastmaster. He'll turn with the Roar.
Oh, Roar's the Wind Panda. Make sure you can get away. Okay, in the Moonlight Shadow, they'll be able to reset. That was a cool move, though. While we were looking, the play happening bottom, the Chen was actually making sure that he kept the catapult alive as long as possible, top with his creeps, and just like kind of sacrificing them.
Oh, good chain setup. Arrow. Not quite able to land it there. A little too far away. Too much travel time.
But they're forcing them away from the tower. So tier 1 likely to fall here with that dominated creep also coming in. Totally different game state, as we said. This time they're able to get 2 towers on the side of EG early game. BEASTCOAST not able to set that tempo yet.
Might be able to get Stinger here. Fly. He's got it. Quick frostbite, and the setup's there for Arteezy to pick up a nice bit of bonus gold. Gets the kill.
I mean, look at his positioning there. A little aggressive there from Stinger.
I mean, he's been sort of living life up on this top area of the map for quite some time. Arrow, that's swiftly done there. Arrow is already coming in, and Abed able to make sure that Chris is held in position for it to hit bang on target.
I mean, these two BEASTCOAST heroes completely in no man's land. Nobody even relatively close to them. The ward, of course, coming into play there from EG, kind of seeing that the Lesh was alone in that top lane. Good movements, 5-5. Still seeing the Nog at the top, but not by too much. Arteezy is keeping up. And he's actually going to go back for the armlet.
Yeah, that's for cool. Sure. I mean, as you said, armlet, you always want to have it on Lifestealer, but of course going for it this way around the Maelstrom into the armlet when he knew that he was going to be able to play this whole top half of the map completely uncontested, you're going to end up with the 2 items quicker than if you did it the other way around.
I mean, it's cool. Yeah. Now they have double Maelstrom, so the Naga Siren for the early game showing up. Pretty difficult for Hector to really do so.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
How close are we to this Helm of the Overlord? Helm of the Overlord is just about done, 600 gold. And Stinger, I mean, if he wants to save up the gold, he can do the option of going for that shard early. Right now he's got that drum queued up, but we'll see if he opts against it if he sees Nightfall. Pick up that Helm.
So they get around mid.
Yeah, almost Bloodstone also on Chris' life. But still quite fragile. We see the amount of burst damage that EG has this game. It's very different than the last time.
Oh, for sure. And of course, Arteezy, in terms of the nature of the Lifestealer, he's able to put that rage and just get straight on top of a hero like the Lesh.
Yeah.
Let's have a look here. We'll have a quick replay.
Let's go run it. Yeah, bot is good, guys. What is this? Go to trade top? I'll just drop it. I'm coming.
Naga's top. Real Naga's running out.
You guys top too.
There we go. Some very calm communication there between EG as they make that movement up towards that top lane, get the kill.
Yeah, they're just kind of, it sounded like they're mostly just calling positioning of where all these heroes are, where the Naga always keeping tags, of course, of where K1 is. Because if they look to make an aggressive move, have to be careful, because that song can come in, things can get turned around, so keeping tabs of where K1 is definitely going to be important. Quiet game, though, in comparison to last one. 5-5.
Yeah, which I think will come as a big relief to EG. Very much in the early points of last game, the struggle was just kind of keeping BEASTCOAST under control. BEASTCOAST were getting away with so many kills, so many aggressive plays. This time around, EG able to match it and get that little bit more value from the map so far. Slight lead here, 1k gold advantage.
At some point, they definitely do want to apply a little bit more pressure. They will, of course, have these like Maelstroms and Mjolnirs, of course, for the Naga Siren, but we see how much you can actually just like cut the waves. They don't want to constantly be like dealing with all these waves at some point that Hector will be addressing, so we'll see what they do. Because their lineup, it's a little bit more pick-off oriented, you could say, on EG in comparison to BEASTCOAST, which when they do have the Brew ult and they have the Chen ult, it's a lot more team fight centric.
You can see here with these moves, EG trying to find which area the map K1's playing from with his main hero, but good read from K1, he'll back out of the map completely, so they won't find him.
He can be fight ready. He's actually gone for the Diffusal build early on here on the Naga Siren, so could even look to, if he gets like a grab onto Abed ever, that could be pretty much set up for a kill. And now the Roche.
Yeah, I mean, the Beastmaster in his army. Decent damage as well from Arteezy. They can tank this up with the summons and look to go for this.
Yep. Oh, they're rotating over, though.
They're taking it down pretty quick, though, EG. So BEASTCOAST, they'll have to make a move soon if they want to try and stop this.
They do have this song in a second. The Naga's not.
It's already gone. Abed able to get the kill, get the Aegis. We'll see BEASTCOAST now popping the ultimates. Whisper leading him with the primal split, but EG, they themselves are split up.
Look at Crit.
I mean, they're going to see him now. Moonlight comes to an end, so Crit will die.
Oh, and also they catch Fly, it looks like.
Arbet's also got to be a bit cautious. He has the Remnant at the ready to dodge the split up. But indeed, the two supports look to be in trouble. Fly's going to do a fair bit of damage to Whisper with the ultimate, but he will still slowly die back up towards the mid. Actually, Kajiri's able to get the stun out to the two of them, but Nightfall, Brian has the roll ready, turns towards Kajira to take out the Nyx Assassin, and now RTZ's ready to chase down more, gets a double, takes out Stinger. As EG might be able to keep this fight going, change there from Arbet, but he's starting to lose his mana. Chris turns, looks for the stun, but nice sidestep there from Arbet. Arbet still ticking down very low, that's the Aegis gone. As he's down the ones, they've got to be careful about this Lesh. Chris charging through the middle of the fight. So to burn down Nightfall, so they can kite him out and control him further. TPs are coming in, they're surrounding the Leshrac, but they're being careful how they commit for this. They know that Chris is very, very strong here on the Lesh. And EG, they won't be able to hold him back, so Chris manages to get back out of there. A nice bit of action for EG overall. Sure, you know, BEASTCOAST, they're able to take that Aegis quite quickly out of the hands of Arbed, but Arteezy able to turn up, get some kills. He's got a continued clean scoreline here, 4-0-0 on the Lifestealer, and enough money to pick up that Sanj. So now between the Maelstrom, the Armlet, and the Sanj, this Lifestealer is pretty darn strong. 17 minutes in, he can absolutely turn up to these fights as we've seen, and he's not easy for BEASTCOAST to deal with.
No, absolutely not. Chris, we've got the arrow on him.
Kajira's ready to back him up, turns with the stun. We'll hold back Crit with that stun, and now Chris turns, heals up with the Bloodstone. As the split up onto Fly, Crit tries to leap away, still ends up dying to the DPS.
Constant battles. Gruul is 30 seconds until it's back up after all that finishes. And honestly, I mean, out of all of it, it looks like Chris actually comes out most ahead. Right?
That's
that
true, I guess.
Bloodstone coming back up at the end of the fight, able to replenish him and kind of walk through and reset. Pretty huge for him. He's actually overtaken the Ember now.
For sure, once sort of, yeah, the first heroes are accounted for, the ults have been used, yeah. Raw goes down. You know, we saw how confident Chris can just sort of walk through the middle of the fight.
Yeah,
make sure that he's in position to be kicking out as much damage as possible. See top lane, Hector will play it safe, goes for the Song TP.
And the one thing too is, like, they've itemized now at this point, right, the Armlet, the Maelstrom, this is to deal with the Naga Siren. This is this consistent damage that's going to be clearing out these illusions. It's not this big, like, Desolator, this chunking damage that can eat the Leshrac. So Chris, you know, he could maybe get away with quite a lot in this game.
They want to try and go for him, take him down in with the chains into the arrow. They'll sadly do so.
Great chain stun.
Solid catch here from EG. We're seeing if they can push on for more. Jump forward with the Remnant. Arbed attempts to close the gap on Whisper. We'll hold back though. Don't want to try. Maybe they do want to dive the tier 2s. If they catch him around this area, if Whisper steps out, they might go for a kill attempt.
Oh, the ward's placed.
Yeah, they'll see it.
Probably seen though. BEASTCOAST probably going to be able to get rid of that one quick. And you know, we did get to see a couple things also in these last situations. So much happening. But Chen, we did see he went for the shard, so he's going to be stealing those ancient creeps consistently from the Beastmaster. And Chris needs to be a little more careful how far up he is alone. Sure, he's got the hand of God in some situations, but it's a lot of burst damage still from EG. Especially if they have everyone on top of him like that.
Dire's top tower.
Very close game, 10-8.
Radiant are scanning.
Still playing in this aggressive position, EG. Maybe seeing if they can do something early about the tier 2s.
I mean,
TPs are coming in. I mean, BEASTCOAST, they will take a fight if it's presented to them down here.
Got their ults ready. EG's just waiting to see if, like, people trickle in one by one, because their heroes, they do have burst if they find them in the 1v1, or in the 1v, like 2v3, etc. But if it's a 5v5, it can be a lot harder for EG.
This tier 2's falling pretty quick here to the push of EG, and in fact, it's gone. So an early tier 2 tower taken down. At the same time, Stinger, he's really trying his best to get a trade up top. And on EG's side, they will TP back. Push Stinger away in time. He's going to go for the TP in the trees. And they won't know that he's there. Nice little spot to hide in as Stinger gets away. Won't get the tower, but still able to do a lot of damage on that top lane.
It's the Chen minigame. You know, it starts to happen at these points when everything's just split pushing. They have the Naga Siren, so it's just natural for him to start doing this. Getting a decent amount of farm to level 10 already with the drums, with the shard, medallion too. A lot of different ways to buff up and keep the Leshrac in particular alive. With a plate mail now too. Chris Luck sitting at 24 armor, 2200 HP.
CRT was considering sort of what route he wanted to take. Does opt to finish the Mionit. also was thinking about the Halberd and the Skadi. I mean, what would you sort of imagine is top of the list from next? Does he want that bit of evasion, or does he want to have the Skadi to kind of deal with some of this sustain that the Lesh is able to survive off the back of in the fights?
Could depend on how successful the next fight is, right? Like if he gets a couple kills, maybe just choose the Skadi. If not, maybe just wants the Halberd. It's a really good Halberd game, so he probably wants that anyway. Versus Naga. Naga never wants to build the true strike. Hart now finished up K1.
He's going to be pretty hard to kill, even with that Mione.
Yeah,
being able to sort of split the fight with the illusions, get them on some of the supports. Now, RTZ's going to have his work cut out in terms of trying to just clear through this army that K1's going to be involved in the fight with.
They'll have to stick on him for so long, and he does have a lot of different ways to bail him out too, right? The Brew, the Sleep, the Hand of God, of course, from the Chen. See what EG can find. Fest is inside Abed. He doesn't have the BKB quite yet on this Ember Spirit, so still has to be very careful of Carapace.
Yeah, Gojira playing nicely around the sentry they've got down. Means that EG won't manage to find an entry into the fight from this spot.
Gojira mostly is just like playing either around the Naga or the Lesh, just waiting with the Carapace, right? Because if that instant jump comes, he Carapace and they can turn it right away onto the Ember Spirit.
See what they can get to with this smoke. EG were pretty aware of this, and indeed with the scan hitting, they'll certainly make sure that everybody's back under the safety of their structures underneath their towers. So Beast Coast not able to get a catch this time.
Having to avoid fights a lot though. Look at the map state. Look at the way that they're able to just keep everything forced in onto the side of EG. Beast Coast. This Naga Siren's starting to be a problem.
It is. It's not easy for some of EG's members to deal with these strong illusions with that heart.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be either the Life Stealer or the Ember to clear out the waves. They can't be at every single one of the lanes. As top now, Glyph is popped, but that is the tier 3 Glyph. Actually, I'm lying. It's a tier 2 Glyph. I'm sorry. I thought the mid tower was dead. So we'll have it reset at the very least.
This is the thing, though. If EG don't find fights and kill score stays pretty stagnant, you are going to see quite the difference in what K1 as a Naga Siren is able to clean up from the map. In comparison to RTZ on the Lifestealer. Already 3,000 gold difference, and that will only grow unless EG can make some sort of move.
But the thing, it's just difficult for them to look for the move because, as we said, their lineup, it does want to look for these pickoffs, but when your lanes are all getting shoved in,
so much
it's hard
pressure
for you to find any of these pickoffs. And Beast Coast, really, they're sticking together quite a lot here. Now looking for even go for this next tier 2.
K1's been just microing the illusions perfectly on this sort of mid and top lane. 2 lanes consistently held right up to the high ground of EG.
Chris also having his Lotus done. I believe the Ags on the Brew is about to be finished too. So Beast Coast, they're hitting quite a few timings here. EG trying to feel what timing they're going to feel where they're like, okay, we can actually go for this straight up fight. It's, they've got all these items, but when are they actually going to look for that real big on team fight versus Beast Coast? It does feel a bit difficult. And with if Beast Coast is able to consistently keep these lanes pushed in, at some point, Roche is going to start coming back up. EG's going to have to look to make a move. 2 minutes until we do see that, but let's see when they do look to make that aggressive move. It's going to be now. They're smoked.
K1. Not going to be able to offer up the catch there top. I mean, EG do look like they're interested in taking a fight here.
Still difficult.
See how they can start it off around the board. Light.
Stinger.
Off the Frostbite, they'll go for the Roar on Stinger. Nightfall commits with the BKB. They want to kill off the Chen. They'll do so very quickly. See if they can chase for more. They'll look towards K1. It's back up to the safety of his own high ground. And looks like EG, they'll just manage to get the 1 kill for now with that commitment.
Okay.
With the Roar down, they might have to be careful themselves. Arbed steps forward. Pops the dust. Will be able to dodge out the stun. Arrow ends up getting blocked by the creep here from Beast Coast. So no connection there.
That was pretty close. Almost gets Carapace. Almost gets stunned from the Lesh. They'll find a kill on the Chen. The Chen now respawning. They're going to have to reset. Deal with their lanes again. I think that's actually one of the better kills if they can get it like that, because it prevents so much healing. So much chaos that will kick off.
It does just feel like, K1's Naga Siren, it's getting out of control. He's pretty much got the Skadi done.
He's really going to just probably deal with all the rest of the heroes and isolate the Arteezy Naga Siren at some point.
I mean, Arteezy's really got his work cut out in terms of build. He's going to go for the BKB picked up. Again, we saw being a similar approach from the Lifestealer earlier today against the PL. Just making sure they can sort of stand in the fight, not have to worry about the mana getting burned through, and just giving themselves that extra time between the Rage and the BKB to just stay alive and just keep hitting this Naga Siren and trying to clear out her summons, the illusions as well as herself.
Stun will connect on top. Arteezy's mana It's time. He doesn't have the mana for Rage now, but they don't have anything else to catch him yet. And that can't quite. That was a little scary.
Whisper does pop the split. He's going to try and set up for some kills here around them. It will get fly.
Yeah, I think he's like, they're just avoiding us constantly. Like, he just wants to look for something to use that split. And now Roche is up.
Roche is indeed. It's there and ready. So Beast Coast, they could definitely look to just step into the pit and start going for this. They have the song to rely on if they need to bail out or sort of set up a fight outside of the pit. And EG, only the 4 of them up. It's not going to be easy for EG to get in on this. You already see Gajira in his position. He's giving great info outside of the pit. In fact, he's able to line up a 2-man stun to start things off here.
She's gone already.
It already is. Aegis picked up on Chris. EG, they've got to run. Nightfall pots the BKB. Arbed will go with a couple of remnants, but he's still pretty close here to Beast Coast. Ends up losing his courier on the way out. Arbed, at least himself and the hero, will keep the distance. But he just picked up on Chris. Beast Coast, they're ready to come running down the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, EG, they found like the one catch on Chen, but now, you know, when are they going to be able to deal with the Naga Siren? This Naga is just getting way too out of control. Same thing with Chris. He's the one carrying the Aegis on this Lesh now, too. They're going to go for high ground. Glyph is available, but they're going to have to pop it pretty early because that Edict.
I mean, how do they deal with this? I mean, say K1 27 minutes in, Hart and Scardy.
He held the Edict. He actually baited the Glyph. He lifted his hands, canceled the animation. So they've got Edict now for the push.
Big brain stuff here from Chris.
This tower is going down. The Rax also.
I think maybe more, yeah.
Uh-oh, EG.
I mean, EG's out on the map trying to pick up some farm. Arteezy will TP back. He is able to finish off the BKB, so he's got his next item done. See if this makes much of a difference in the fights, though. Range Racks will go down, and Beast Coast, they'll back off for now from pushing for the melee.
They still have 20 seconds left on split, so they maybe wait for like 10 or 15 seconds before they look for that fight. Gojira trying to catch a cheeky stun, won't get it.
Arteezy. The Rage hit. Beast Coast.
They're still lingering in the area.
I mean, they're keeping, again, both of these lanes consistently pushed into the high ground, top and mid.
I mean, they're ready for fights. Like, the Bruce split is ready. Bottom lane, though, pushing in. They're going to send the Lesh to take care of it. Still sticking in the area, though, with K1. Denying away this farm from EG. 6k gold lead. EG, they see the Lesh bottom. They're trying to make a move out to catch something. Yeah, Naga just getting bigger and bigger. Lesh getting bigger and bigger.
They're going to try for a move in.
Gotta get something big. EG, they need to find something.
Vested into Nightfall. He's ready to try and play off the back of a Blink Roar initiation from the Beastmaster. There's an Arcane Rune in the river, though, so Chris, he'll have that ready for the next fight. Still with nearly 3 minutes on the Aegis, it's not easy for EG to jump anyone outside of the supports. Fly will start to try to start things here, and they will follow up onto Stinger. They'll get the Roar off as well.
Okay, they'll get the 2 supports. Pretty good grabs.
See if they can do anything off the back of killing the 2 supports.
They gotta fix the lanes. The lanes are all constantly pushed in, either from the Naga Siren or from the Chen creeps. Their whole jungle is actually also just being farmed from Chen. Like, I was just looking, I'm just watching the Chen microing all of his creeps, and he's just taking all of the farm away. So still tons of pressure on the map. They do get at least 2 kills out of it, but it is just those 2 supports, and now bottom tower looking to drop.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Beast Coast, I mean, their macro game, very nice so far. Making sure they don't lose K1 at all so far. 0-0-2.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Indeed. During the time those 2 supports were down, nothing more that you really could get other than maybe some increased sort of space on their own half of the map in the jungle. That there was not going to be an aggressive play made by Beast Coast, but unfortunately for themselves, not enough of kills to do anything aggressive and really deal with the push that's coming in, because already Chris, he's back up to the high ground on the bottom lane.
They're gonna pop the Rax glyph. Wanting really to hold on to those tier 3s. Don't have another glyph after this. Now the push continuing.
Arteezy is going to try and get in on the fight. Steps up towards K1. Nightfall, he has the Roar.
Got the song off.
Get the arrow as well. Rage into the BKB. So a long time here that Arteezy's going to be able to continue to beat in onto the Naga Siren, but it's still just not enough damage. He's only down to pretty much half health here, K1, as he backs away. They'll kill Chris. That's the Aegis gone. See a quick infest here from Arteezy as he looks to stay alive. They'll get the opening stun onto Chris. Out to the side, though. Arbed's been held up by the split up. Arteezy chase him outside of the base. K1's getting low, falls to the side. They're trying to separate K1 from the lifesteal, and they'll be able to do so. K1's fine for now. As Arteezy also Forced back up to the high ground of his own base.
Oh, he connects.
Nice little arrow there onto Stinger. So once again, EG getting the 2 supports, taking that Aegis away a little early from Chris. Definitely a defense here coming out from EG that, all things considered, they'll be pretty content with.
That was an absolutely beautiful fight. Everyone's sitting at like 10%, 20% HP on EG, jumping in and out, getting these connections. Making sure that Chris Luck can't actually use this Aegis to its maximum. Almost even getting K1. That was a really good hold from EG.
Yeah, we're definitely
getting that roar off as that song kind of comes out.
It came at the same time, pretty much. And indeed, you're seeing exactly why you go for this Rage BKB build. Just, it gives Arteezy this maximum amount of time, even during the song, to just keep hitting the Naga Siren. And we saw that ended up getting down to about a 3rd HP at the start of that fight. If Arteezy is able to get that halberd done and then some sort of damage item, and during that sort of setup, he'll have a good chance of killing K1.
That was before they picked up quite a few items, too. Abed now has an Aghanims done, too, so his damage is going to be quite a lot higher in this next fight. And they're looking to get aggressive. They're actually looking for more.
See what they can make a quick jump towards. In with the Remnant, Abed quickly sweeping the map. He's managed to get his way over towards Chris.
Got Lotus there.
Underneath the tier 2 arrow is going to hit. Crit gets the angle. That's Chris going down. EG, they'll definitely want to try and continue to fight on for more. Kajira turns with the sun onto the 2 of them. Indeed, over towards the mid lane. They have the raw setup onto K1. No further damage output for now, though, as K1's got the backup of Stinger.
Nothing to stop the CM ult. We'll clear out all those illusions.
TP over from Whisper.
EG now looking to bail. Another net.
Cantron to fly, so they want to try and tackle K1. I mean, Arteezy's going to go for the squishies first. Go straight for Stinger, takes down a 2nd support. See if they can get K1.
East Coast.
Very much for sort of the first time this game where Beast Coast are the ones that are having to play a little more cautiously around EG.
EG's definitely found their footing of timing really for the Lifestealer to stick on his targets, right? It really is. This BKB, his halberd also making him super tanky, and he does have that Ghoul Frenzy talent too, so can stick on those targets a lot easier once he gets that initial hit.
I mean, what is the item here for Arteezy? He's got 2,600 gold saved up. Does he want to get the Skadi still to sort of limit the heals of the Leshrac with the Bloodstone, or do you want to see him get some sort of straight up damage item?
Oh, honestly, Scotty.
He's got a lot to think about here, Arteezy.
It feels like they're gonna start getting more and more damage for the Ember Spirit, so I wouldn't blame him if he does go for the Scotty. It is so valuable versus that Leshrac, as you're mentioning. Because he could also, I mean, we'll see they could also still get like the Mage Slayer Bloodthorn kind of build. I'm not sure who's gonna go for that, but it's always pretty valuable versus Lesh, so yeah, we'll see which one it's gonna be.
Look at this.
Abed, he's actually got his shard too.
Again. A quick kill onto Gojira.
So Abed, he's got Ags plus his shard, so watch for these remnants. Level 18 also, of course, was hit in that last fight. So his damage is going to be a lot higher versus that Naga Siren too.
EG themselves, they might have a bit of a chance to push up towards their base here. They're bringing the creeps in on the mid lane.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Good sort of vision here towards the move that K1's making over towards the mid. Looks like they'll still hold back a little bit here, EG.
Yeah, Abed, he keeps a remnant there, goes back, is starting to clean up the counter push.
We'll get a bit of a setup
in the area.
Onto Arteezy, who'll be thrown into the air by Whisper. Arteezy popping the rage. He's going to try and get on top of K1. Look at the illusions out. Turns now over towards Chris. The rage finishing. Arteezy's got to be careful. Gets caught by the split up. We'll be able to force him back to safety. Infest into fly. He's fine for now. He's gone. Arteezy trying to go for round 2, but as soon as he comes out the Infest, they catch him with the opening stun. Will manage to get the BKB off, and with that BKB duration, stays on top of Stinger. Arteezy now godlike. He's ready for more. Turns towards Kajira. Rage at the ready. So after the BKB comes to an end, Arteezy can continue to push on. In fact, no, he's going to opt to use the rest of the rage to TP out.
He gets bashed. I don't even think K1 actually got the hit on him there, but that was close. They actually got the stun there. Gojira, the 2-man stun. It catches the Lifestealer and the Beastmaster in the back, so kind of splits the fight up. EG do get pushed away.
I mean, yeah, Arteezy making the correct call at the last moment to get out.
Yeah, that was
realized that the fight was not going quite as good as maybe EG felt they could get it going. Choosing the right moment to bail out. But now, 3 heroes dead on EG.
And we do see that Arteezy actually has gone for, I believe it was the Basher, yeah, but he's going to go for the Abyssal to stick on target instead.
See if they can hold back K1 here. It's onto the barracks.
His BKB's cooldown, so Arteezy does have to be a bit careful how he uses his rage.
Absolutely, we've seen that the rage alone, not enough for Arteezy to rely on in the midst of a team fight.
So many chain stuns that can come out from Gojira as well as the Lesh. Yeah, we see this one again. I think the stun is going to come in a few seconds right around this moment when Ortiz backs up. It's tough to stick on the Naga Siren, you know, even though they do get this connection of chains, he is still very tanky, and they have to be very careful with these supports. You know, if they get caught at all from a Lash, at all from a Naga Siren, they're just dead. And yeah, here it is, the stun from Gojira. Boom! Catches the 2, catches the Beast, and K1's able to focus fire.
Absolutely, and he's sort of stun that allows K1 and the illusions to close in on a hero. They're not going to stand much of a chance against this massive Naga Siren here. 28,000 net worth. K1 just continuing to grow at an incredible rate. Has yet to die this game.
Rosh in about a minute. Also having an arcane rune inside of Chris Luck's bottle. Getting more stacks, continuously level 20 on the Lesh. 20 on the Ember. We still keep killing this Ags, of course, from Whisper. Stun does connect, starting to burn away some mana. I mean, mana is pretty important on RTZ.
That is.
Rage and BKB, like,
That's
look
true.
at Halberd, Rage, BKB, like, he actually has to be very careful how he uses these. Now he has Infest, so he has 240 mana.
They're going to get the jump on Chris in the mid. The rest of Beast Coast to try to make an aggressive move on towards Fly, but Chris was left behind, and EG, they move immediately to punish that.
Great Infest blink play there from Nightfall on RTZ.
So they can get around the mid now.
Ooh, might be able to get Gojira too.
But K1 is around, and the mana's gone on Arbed. K1 turns, has the root, has the bash as well, holding him in position. As he steps across, there's no saving Arbed.
I mean, this diffusers, it's really being a problem for the BKBs, right? They keep getting burnt and they can't pop their BKBs because of it.
And you see as well, you know, Chris committed with the buyback. So he really wants to just join the push,
they know
or maybe go for the rush. That looks to be indeed what they're going to do.
It's an Aghanim too.
And they don't have, of course, control of the outpost either, EG, in their own jungle, so they can't really go for some sort of buyback play on Arbed either. They're just going to have to let this go here to Beast Coast.
And, I mean, is this one where you give it to the Naga Siren? Probably, right? Because he can just net the Lifestealer through those spell immunities.
I think certainly so. We'll see if they see anything higher up the list than that.
Oh, Chris takes it. Okay. I mean, the Nihilism also in a way could protect the Lesh, so we'll see. He takes everything. Oh, my. Okay. Takes the cheese and the angels.
I mean, he did buy back, you know. He wanted to make sure he got his money's worth.
That is quite fair. Definitely could see the argument, though, for the Ags on the Naga Siren for that. You know, that, of course, ensnare through the spell immunity, but... K1 also about to finish up a Bloodthorn. I mean, he's hitting critical mass soon. Maybe that's also why he's probably like, I'm going to buy an Aghanim soon, perhaps.
That is the thing, right? In terms of these two heroes, who's going to get the money quicker for their own Ags? It's going to be the Naga Siren if the game continues on for longer. As mid lane, K1.
All three lanes are getting sieged.
What do you do if you're EG? You've got to do something. They're going to try. Nightfall, he's looking for a raw target, turns towards Chris.
Lotus is up.
Has to be careful as he holds back on it for now. Arteezy's in with the bashes. They're bringing Chris down pretty quickly. That'll be him down the ones. Arbed jumps in. And he caught out by the spike characters, but at the same time, just does get yielded into the air. Arteezy, he's focusing down the Naga Siren. K1's going to get forced beside. He's never get the sword bar. He's got the BKB up, able to charge you with a remnant takedown. K1. He's ready for more. Looks over towards Gojira inside the base. Arteezy, he'll die. Chris just charging into the disco Pony. Pony just destroying them all.
Holy crap. And Chris just killed them all.
And there's no buyback on Arteezy. He's a hell of a lot short on the gold here. 1,500 gold he does not have here to get back in on the action.
Chris isn't done.
They're going to try and hold with the three of them. And indeed, Chris is ready to chase him back up towards the fountain. Runs down Nightfall, and he's not done yet. He's full HP, and he's got plenty of mana to play with. The buyback comes out from Arbed. As EG, they scramble back towards the fountain. They've got to try and hold and keep their cool here for 50 seconds now without Arteezy.
They're going to get megaed. And there's still the cheese as well on Chris. Oh my god, dude, the damage that he did. They focus fired K1, but they ignored the Lesh for a bit. I mean, look at this 12,800 damage.
This is at least going to be the mega creeps here. Can they really slow down Beast Coast for this 30 seconds? I don't know if they can.
I don't know if they can. 30 seconds seems like a big window. This Edict is about to come back up. It's got the 25 talent too.
The first tier 4 falls. The second shortly to come.
It's going
The
down,
Ancient's exposed. As Beast Coast, they're looking to close it up. EG, they'll go for one final attempt at holding back Beast Coast, but they're just focusing the Ancient. EG, there's nothing to be done. GG is called. Beast Coast will be moving on. And this is the end of the road for Evil Geniuses this year.
Oh my, South America has taken out EG. Back back-to-back series, 2-0 both times. Oh my God. Beast Coast, the team that got EG into TI, now they've taken it away. Oh my God.
I mean, they've got to be feeling fantastic. From the first game, complete dominance from start to finish, and then the second one, a bit of a different approach, more sort of just focusing on and K1 becoming this incredible beast that couldn't be dealt with. He was just at the top of the farm and far ahead for the entire game. It just got too much at the end of the game. You know, EG able to pull together pretty much the better defense that we've seen out of both of these series, but it just still was not good enough. Yeah. Once again today, the South American teams coming out on top, and Beast Coast this is a team on LAN. It's so hard to prepare for them because they just hit another level when they get